Right at the start of our freshman year, my roommate Fang Yuan bought new curtains for our dorm bathroom. The boys' dorm is right across from us, so we girls need to be extra careful. These new curtains I got are blackout ones, so they offer great privacy. Seeing how thoughtful and kind-hearted she was, my other roommates and I all trusted her completely. But a semester later, high-resolution, shower photos from the girls' dormitory began circulating on the campus forum. That's when we found out that Fang Yuan had tampered with the curtains. When we confronted her, she said, "Everyone in the group chat was complimenting your figures, and several people even asked me for your contact information. You all look angry on the surface, but deep down, you're secretly pleased, aren't you?" We reported the incident to the school, but received no response for a long time. In the end, one roommate was forced to drop out due to depression, and the other jumped from a high rise to prove their innocence. As for me, while on my way to the police with the evidence I had gathered, I was killed in a car accident. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day Fang Yuan said she wanted to buy curtains. 1. It's even worse than it looked in the photos. How is anyone supposed to live here? My roommate Fang Yuan leaned on her suitcase, surveying the old dorm room with disdain. The moment she finished speaking, another piece of plaster fell from the ceiling. A heavy silence fell over the room. When we filled out our applications, none of us noticed that the program was located on the old campus. Seeing the rat's nest of a scene before us now was a bit hard to take. While her two roommates were comforting each other, Fang Yuan burst in from the balcony. "Unbelievable. The bathroom still doesn't have a curtain. This is so dangerous. The boys' dorm is right across the way. What if someone sees something they shouldn't? No way. I need to buy a curtain right now." Just like in the previous life, Fang Yuan said the same thing. Citing the need to protect our dorm's privacy, she bought new curtains for the bathroom. My other two roommates and I all thought she was thoughtful and considerate, so we gladly left the matter in her hands. After the curtains were installed, not only did the three of us split the cost, but we also treated Fang Yuan to a meal to thank her for her extra effort. Little did we know, this was the beginning of all the tragedy. That curtain was no ordinary one. It was a specially ordered one-way curtain that Fang Yuan had commissioned. From the inside, it blocked out all outside light completely, yet, from a certain angle outside, the view into the bathroom was completely exposed. Fang Yuan took advantage of this and colluded with the boys' dorm across the way to set up a benefits group chat. She shared our bathing moments, their daily to profit from it. We were deceived by the warm, caring persona she had crafted and remained naively in the dark. It wasn't until the semester ended and someone sent us explicit, harassing messages that we finally saw Fang Yuan for who she truly was. When I confronted her, she looked completely unfazed. "What's all the fuss about? What era do you think this is? Still rushing to erect your own chastity archway?" Everyone in the group was complimenting your figures, and several people even asked me for your contact info. You're all acting so offended, but deep down, you're secretly pleased that men find you attractive, aren't you? She was completely unapologetic and showed no remorse. We reported the matter to our academic advisor and left it for the school to handle. Yet, after waiting through the entire break, we still hadn't received any outcome. When the new semester began, Fang Yuan showed up in front of us as bold as brass, acting as if nothing had happened. Yet, the malicious messages we received only grew in number. Some even had the audacity to add all three of us to a so-called benefits group, where they openly commented on our figures and appearances. One of my roommates, shy and introverted, developed depression under the prolonged pressure and was forced to take a leave of absence and return home. To prove her innocence, my other roommate left a written statement, walked up to the rooftop, and jumped from the tall building. I had finally lost all hope in the school. I gathered my evidence and decided to go straight to the police. Little did I know, I would be struck by a car with failed brakes on the way. The wheels dragged my body for dozens of meters. I died on the spot. The evidence that once condemned Fang Yuan was now submerged in a pool of blood, forgotten and ignored. Perhaps even heaven could not bear to watch, sending me back to the very beginning of this tragedy. Grant me one more chance to put an end to this villain. 2. Wait a second. I gently pressed down Fang Yuan's hand as she was about to place the order and said with a smile, "Sis Yuan, let me get this one." Before the semester started, the four of us in the dorm had already created a group chat and gotten to know each other. Fang Yuan was the group admin. She was outgoing, easygoing, and had a heart of gold. She patiently answers any questions her roommates have, and even takes the initiative to soothe their back-to-school jitters. right from the start. Fang Yuan told us to call her Sister Yuan, saying she'd have our backs from then on. Chin Chin, you don't have any experience in this area, how would you know what to buy? A doting smile spread across Fang Yuan's face. You're all new to dorm life. Not like me, I'm used to being independent. When I rented my own place, I had every anti-intruder gadget you can think of. The frosted film the previous senior put up wasn't safe. It was too easy to see through. These blackout curtains I replaced them with are completely opaque. Excellent for privacy. No one with ill intentions will get a peek. I scoffed inwardly. Someone with ill intentions? Was she talking about herself? With the experience from my past life, I wasn't buying her caring big sister act. Sis Yuan, you really know your stuff. Here's what we'll do. Send me the link. I just won a platform voucher last night that makes this order completely free. It expires in a few hours, so it'd be a waste not to use it. Meow meow, Haojia, what do you two think? I looked over at my two roommates, and they both nodded in agreement. What a coincidence. Chin Chin, we'll treat you to bubble tea later. No need, the curtains are shared items anyway. I'd feel bad making you spend money. Ah, Chin Chin, you're the best. I smiled at them, then let my gaze drift back to Fang Yuan, discreetly observing her expression. I knew it. Those curtains of hers weren't bought from any legitimate platform. Besides, if I had actually placed the order, wouldn't that have ruined her whole plan? Just as expected, Fang Yuan panicked. A P-platform coupon for a free order, right? I have one too, let me handle it. It's the same thing. She hastily pulled her hand back and started tapping away on her phone. All set. It really was a $0 purchase. I looked at the strained smile on her face and fought hard to keep my own lips from curling upward. I don't have any freebie coupons. I just didn't want to split the cost of the curtains with her and let her take advantage of us. In this lifetime, I don't want to be a sucker, not even a little bit. 3. The curtains will be delivered very soon. It looked no different from an ordinary curtain, so Meow Meow and Haojia didn't suspect a thing. After checking for any damage, Fang Yuan directed everyone to install it together. However, the window was quite high up, and since our dorm was on the 6th floor, none of us dared to recklessly stand on a chair and take the risk. At that moment, I stepped forward with a suggestion. Hey, Yuanjia, isn't your boyfriend on this campus too? Could you ask him to come and give us a hand? It's still the registration period. He just needs to let the dorm supervisor know and he can come right in. This was exactly what Fang Yuan had been hoping to hear. She probably hadn't expected me to walk right into her trap. After a brief moment of surprise, she quickly replied, yes, I was thinking the same thing. With that, they made a show of dialing the phone, as if waiting for the call. The other end picked up immediately. Hello, honey, where are you? I'm in the dorm. Perfect timing. Actually, could you come over and give me a hand? And so, in less than 5 minutes, Su Lei showed up at our dorm room. Once again, I came face to face with the person who killed me in my past life. That's right, the car that hit me in my previous life was no accident. The brake failure was deliberately engineered. I saw clearly that the man in the driver's seat was none other than Fang Yuan's boyfriend, Su Lei. At that moment, his eyes were wide with fury. His gaze locked onto the incriminating documents in my hand like a vengeful specter, but now, he was smiling at us with gentle politeness. Hello, juniors, I'm Yuan's boyfriend, Su Lei. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to ask. Looking at his sanctimonious act, my stomach churned and my hands began to tremble uncontrollably. Meow Meow noticed something was off and asked with concern, Chin Chin, are you okay? Are you feeling unwell? I took the opportunity to hold my temple. Feigning dizziness, I feel completely drained. I think I should go to the campus clinic. Haojia, worried I might faint on the way, insisted on helping me there, and so, only Fang Yuan and Su Lei were left alone in the dorm room. Just before closing the door, Fang Yuan said to me softly, Chin Chin, I really can't get away from here. You must let me know immediately if anything comes up. I nodded weakly and put on my noise-canceling headphones. However, once we stepped out of the dormitory building, I stopped the people supporting me on either side, my expression serious. Meow Meow, Haojia, there's something important I need to tell you. In a quiet corner of the dormitory building, I took off my headphones and pressed the speakerphone button on my phone. Before Su Lei arrived, I had already dialed my own burner phone and placed it on my bed. Now, the conversation between Fang Yuan and Su Lei came through the phone. I've adjusted the curtain angle. Now I can see into your bathroom from my dorm room. That was Su Lei's voice. After hearing him, Fang Yuan's tone grew anxious. So what am I supposed to do when I'm taking a shower? You're not going to film me too, are you? Silly, I won't film when you're using it. Don't you trust me? Su Lei chuckled softly. Besides, it's not like I haven't seen plenty of you already. This sickeningly sweet and nauseating conversation made my skin crawl. I looked up at Miao Miao and Hao Jia. Their faces were deathly pale too, especially Miao Miao. She was innocent by nature, sheltered and protected by her family since childhood, and had never imagined that a person could wear two completely different faces. She was utterly terrified, her voice trembling with tears. She asked me, "Qin Qin, what's going on? Is Sister Yuan trying to take pictures of us without us knowing?" Remembering the torment she endured from depression in her past life, my heart ached with pity. And I gently stroked her head. Hao Jia, stubborn as ever, bit her lip tightly and remained silent. I also took her tightly clenched fist in my hand and gave it a gentle squeeze. I said to them, "Nothing has happened yet. We still have a chance to make things right, for the outcome in my past life was too tragic. I didn't want Miao Miao and Hao Jia to get hurt again, so I didn't tell them the truth. I simply claimed to have stumbled upon Fang Yuan's scheme by accident." Fang Yuan's boyfriend, Su Lei, lived on the 6th floor of the men's dormitory right across from ours. After returning from his leave of absence, he had a dorm room all to himself. In my past life, Fang Yuan had sent Su Lei over to help us install the curtains, using the excuse of buying water to send us away. He seized the opportunity to adjust the curtain's line of sight, aiming it directly at Su Lei's dormitory balcony. After that, Fang Yuan was responsible for informing Su Lei of our showering schedule. He would then set up his camera in his own dorm room to film. Once the videos and photos were taken, Su Lei would post a small portion in the exclusive group and sell the rest as premium content to the highest bidders among the group members. This is a den of thieves, a gathering place for the worst kind of people. They revel in their voyeuristic depravity and are more than willing to pay a fortune to indulge it. All of this I uncovered while gathering evidence before I died. Under the stunned gazes of Miao Miao and Hao Jia, I took out my phone and opened that so-called benefits group chat. After being dragged into that place and utterly humiliated in my past life, I had long since memorized the group number, the source of all that misery. So, the moment I was reborn, I immediately found a way to join the group chat and went undercover. On the screen, Su Lei was notifying all the members, "Hey fam, time for a study session. There's a special live stream after 9 p.m. tonight. The live stream is limited to 100 people, pay ingots to enter. To sign up, please DM first come, first served." In less than 3 minutes, he posted a closing message. "Spots are full, don't be sad if you missed out, bros. The next live stream will be even bigger." A photo was attached below the message. It was a picture of our dorm bathroom. Seeing this, Hao Jia was grinding her teeth in fury. "I'm going back to the dorm right now to ask Fang Yuan what the hell is going on." I wrapped my arms around her waist to stop her. "Don't be rash. Confronting her now will only give them time to destroy the evidence." That's exactly what happened in my previous life. The three of us, after receiving the harassing messages, were in complete denial and rushed off to confront Fang Yuan. She was all high and mighty in front of us, but when she faced the counselor, she flat out denied knowing anything, claiming she was innocent. Meanwhile, on the other side, Su Lei, who had gotten the tip off, quickly switched the data source, colluded with the members, and disguised the group chat as a study materials sharing group. "So what do we do now?" Miao Miao asked timidly from the side. "It seems like they're planning something bad tonight. Should we just pretend we don't know?" I glanced at the money bag emoji Su Lei was spamming on my phone screen, then looked at the darkening sky, and a faint smile curled on my lips. "Let's take a shower first, then we'll talk." 5. Back in the dorm room, Fang Yuan wore a look of playful annoyance. "Girls, why aren't you replying to my messages? I've been worried sick waiting here in the dorm." After fobbing her off with our pre-rehearsed excuse, we all went about our own business, seeing us all just sitting on our beds. Fang Yuan asked with an awkward smile, "It's almost 9, aren't you guys going to shower?" "We already did." Miao Miao was the first to reply. "Qin Qin was fine by the time we got to the campus clinic. We figured she was just overheated, so we went for a swim to cool off before anyone got heatstroke." Hao Jia chimed in right away. Yeah, cool off a bit and wash away the bad luck while you're at it." Fang Yuan didn't dwell on the meaning behind those words, she just frowned. Ah. You two are being careless again, the pool is filthy, you'll need to shower again when you get back, or you could easily pick up an infection. She glanced at her watch and urged me on, as I still hadn't spoken. It's exactly 9 o'clock, Chin, you're the one who's not feeling well today, so you go first. I refused outright, not even looking her way. You worry too much, sis. We went to the new pool at the hotel nearby. It's really well thought out. They provide disposable swim kits and have private shower areas. It's even cleaner than the dorm. If you're interested, we can take you next time. Hey, but Fang Yuan was about to say something more when her words were cut off by the ping of her phone. She scrolled through the screen, her expression growing increasingly troubled as a cold sweat broke out. I feigned concern. Sis Yuan, what's wrong? You didn't catch whatever I had this afternoon, did you? Fang Yuan forced a calm demeanor and wiped her brow. It's fine, I'm feeling a bit warm too. She instinctively covered her phone screen, afraid I'd catch on, yet, her chat history with Su Lei was being mirrored to my computer in real time, because she was using my mobile hotspot. Fang Yuan puts on a selfless front, but in reality, she's incredibly petty and loves to take advantage of any little thing. Back in the dorm, whenever we needed any shared supplies, she'd always volunteer to buy them and then send us the bill. It wasn't until later in my past life that I found out she had photoshopped every single bill to inflate the prices. After splitting the cost with us, she ended up paying nothing herself and even made a small profit. As for internet access, since our old campus didn't have a university network, and considering everyone's different habits, we all agreed after discussing it that each person would get their own mobile Wi-Fi hotspot. Fang Yuan was the exception. She was always saying she'd get her own, but she kept mooching off my Wi-Fi, since my bed was closest to hers. In this life, I even went out of my way to warn her. Yuanjia, my mobile hotspot is specially modified for data transfer between my own devices. If you use it, it'll collect your information too. For your own privacy and security, you really should get your own. Thinking I didn't want her to get the better of me, Fang Yuan replied, come on, Chin. Don't you trust me? I'm an open book. There's nothing private on my phone. Feel free to look. All right then. In that case, I'll just openly read your chat with your boyfriend. Fang Yuan's phone was being bombarded with messages from Su Lei. Fang Yuan, what's going on? My live stream is live, and you're nowhere to be seen. Over 100 people are waiting. A dozen of them even paid extra to get in. Everyone's waiting for the stream. You need to hurry up and get on it. A lot of people are already complaining in the chat. Can't you even handle a simple thing like this? Fang Yuan was also at her wit's end. What am I supposed to do if none of them will go? Should I force their heads under the water and make them wash? She hammered out a few lines of text and looked up, about to say something more to us, only to find that we had all put on our headphones, with no intention of engaging with her. In desperation, Fang Yuan had no choice but to soften her tone. Maybe another day. If we send them away now, I'm afraid they'll get suspicious. The typing indicator on the other end lingered for a long time. Just when I thought the night would pass quietly, Su Lei sent me a message that left me utterly speechless. If they won't wash, then you wash. 6. My gaze immediately shifted to Fang Yuan. Her entire body seemed frozen stiff, yet her face was flushed a deep crimson. Su Lei's messages continued to pop up on the screen. It's because you didn't talk them around properly. I've already taken the money. It's not like I can just give it back now, can I? Yuan, I'm only doing all this for our future. Come on, it's not like you haven't done this before. Be a good sport. Just this once. I'll blur your face. Okay, is he even speaking human? Just hearing this makes my blood boil. Let alone how Fang Yuan, Su Lei's girlfriend, must feel. Does he have something on her? Is she being forced into all this? After a few moments of hesitation, Fang Yuan finally replied, all right, just this once. You can't lie to me. When Fang Yuan walked into the restroom, both Miao Miao and Hao Jia's eyes were filled with shock. Mixed in with that shock was a hint of confusion and pity. This is not a scene any of us wanted to see. The next morning, Hao Jia cut the curtains to shreds. Her reason was that her mother had consulted a fortune teller who said there was something unclean on them. I agreed with her decision. Last night, I already recorded the chat from the benefits group and compiled this portion of the evidence. There's no need to keep this curtain any longer, but unexpectedly, Fang Yuan, who had just been taken advantage of last night, stormed over to confront us in a rage. Who told you to cut the curtain? Did you get my permission? What dirty things? I think you all just looked down on me. You're trying to freeze me out, aren't you? Perhaps it was because the whole live stream incident had shaken her up quite a bit. Fang Yuan, who had always pretended to be gentle in front of us, suddenly flew into a rage. After saying her piece, she even crouched on the ground and started crying. After learning about Su Lei's actions last night, Miao Miao couldn't help but feel sorry for Fang Yuan. I crouched down beside her and asked, Sis Yuan, please don't cry. Did your boyfriend do something to hurt you? If something's wrong, you can tell us. We will understand. The words came out so abruptly, I couldn't stop them. Well, Miao Miao was always the gentle type, unlike me, who knows the tragedies of our past life. She could still feel pity for Fang Yuan and wanted to give her a chance to come clean, but she doesn't know that this person is beyond saving. Suddenly, Fang Yuan stood up, shoved Miao Miao, and pointed an accusing finger, her brows furrowed in anger. What do you mean? Are you saying Su Lei is the problem? Don't you think I know my own boyfriend? Who are you to judge? Miao Miao stumbled back from the shove, bumping hard against the edge of the table. Her hand swept across the table, sending the mug crashing to the floor in pieces. Seeing this, Hao Jia's long-restrained temper finally flared up. She strode forward and shoved Fang Yuan right back, just like that. Neither willing to back down, they grabbed each other's hair and started brawling, even dragging me in as I tried to break them up. The scene instantly descended into utter chaos. In the end, it was the dorm next door that heard the commotion and called for the resident advisor. 7. Our major has a small number of students, most of whom are male, so the school assigned us a male resident advisor. When Wu Xianming arrived at the dorm room, he was met with the sight of 4 disheveled female students and shattered ceramic pieces scattered all over the floor. All right, let's hear it. What's going on here? His tone was gentle, not at all like someone about to lose his temper. Mr. Wu, Fang Yuan's voice was a faint, mosquito-like hum, dripping with grievance. She got elected as a student council officer right at the start of the semester and has been acquainted with Wu Xianming for a while, seeing that someone had come to back her up. She dabbed at her reddened eyes, trying hard to squeeze out some tears. It's really not a big deal. I just felt a bit left out. I talked to my roommates, and it was all a misunderstanding. I don't blame them. Who left you out? Who threw the first punch just now? Miao Miao's hand is cut, still fuming. Hao Jia couldn't stand her fake, manipulative act and fired right back. Fang Yuan wasn't about to back down either. The two of them went back and forth, trading insults once again. Wu Xianming wasn't much older than us, barely out of graduate school. In a situation like this, you can't solve the real problem, you can only act as a useless mediator who muddles through. Finally, Hao Jia argued herself hoarse and needed to stop for a drink of water. Seizing this opening, he suggested, how about this? There are plenty of empty rooms in the girls' dorm. Yuan could just move to a different one, if you have different lifestyles. It's best not to force living together to avoid friction. That's actually an excellent idea. Miao Miao nodded in agreement from the side. However, I knew Fang Yuan would never agree. Su Lei and their benefits group were still waiting for her to deliver the goods. She can't do without us. Her roommates, sure enough, as soon as Fang Yuan heard about changing dorms, she shook her head like a rattle drum. Forget it, teacher. Let's just treat this as a misunderstanding. Even though we haven't lived together for long, I really value the bond between roommates. She was a real beauty, with eyes in particular that were like dark grapes, lively and expressive, as if they could speak. She looked at Wu Xianming with a pitiful expression, blinked her eyes, and repeated, I really don't want to change dorms, Mr. Wu. Is that okay? Catching the coquettish tone in her voice, Wu Xianming instinctively curled the corner of his mouth into a smile. He cleared his throat awkwardly. Well, if you put it that way, we'll keep an eye on things a while longer. His gaze grew even colder as it settled on the three of us. You lot need to get along with your roommates, understand? A cold sneer rose in my heart, followed by a pang of bitter regret. How could I have been so blind in my past life, failing to see such blatant favoritism? In Wu Xuanming's gaze towards Fang Yuan, there was more than just a teacher's professional concern for a student. There was also a trace of forbidden, intimate longing. In our previous life, we reported the harassing messages to Wu Xianming. He gave us his solemn word that he would get to the bottom of it. Then he played the sympathy card, saying he was new on the job and couldn't afford to lose it over this. He told us we absolutely had to keep it quiet, no talking about it anywhere or posting about it on social media. You have to trust your teacher, I will make sure you get justice. He had always presented himself as cultured and gentle, and his demeanor when saying this was utterly deferential. We trusted him just like that, so easily. What a pity. Wu Xuanming's idea of justice was to be seen escorting Fang Yuan in and out of hotels. If we allow those filthy hands to continue, they will drag us step by step into the abyss. My thoughts returned to the present. Fang Yuan excused herself to attend to some matter and left with Wu Xianming. A heavy silence fell over the dorm room after they left. After a long pause, Miao Miao let out a scornful snort. I was worried Fang Yuan was being coerced by Su Lei into treating us this way, but it turns out they're in cahoots, a perfect match of willing partners. My mistake for sticking my nose in. From now on, no matter what she does, I won't feel an ounce of sympathy for her. Hao Jia was also fuming, and she turned to ask me, Qin, since Fang Yuan is still going to be living with us, shouldn't we make some preparations, just in case? Let's just wait and see. I gave a faint, wry smile and gazed pensively in the direction the two of them had gone. But Fang Yuan and the counselor seem awfully close. I wonder if her boyfriend, Su Lei, knows about this. 8. For the next couple of weeks, the dormitory atmosphere returned to its usual calm. Fang Yuan had no idea we already knew her inside and out. She thought that argument was just a minor squabble. She's been trying all sorts of ways to win us over these past few days, but Miao Miao and Hao Jia weren't having any of it. I was the only one who accepted her olive branch, and even went so far as to kindly let her keep mooching off the Wi-Fi. With no classes this afternoon, I found myself with some free time. I opened up Fang Yuan and Su Lei's chat history to see if they were hatching any new schemes. Scrolling down, I caught sight of the keyword, pinhole camera, Su Lei. If we can't do a live stream from the shower, we can at least manage one from the girls' dorm, right? All that fuss for nothing. The guys in the group chat are absolutely tearing me a new one. Once you've got the gear, get on with it. Don't tell me you don't even know how to install a pinhole camera. Fang Yuan, one of the three of them is always in the dorm. What am I supposed to do? Su Lei, you idiot, just make up an excuse to get them out of here. Tell them there's some drama in the cafeteria, like someone confronting a scumbag. Trick them into going to watch. I stared at the screen in utter disbelief. Is Su Lei taking us for complete idiots? A quick check of the chat log's timestamp showed it was from last night. Who knows when Fang Yuan will make her move? I need to give Miao Miao and the others a heads up first. Just as I finished sending the message in our small group chat, Fang Yuan's voice suddenly rang out in the dorm room. Hey girls, someone posted on the campus wall that there's drama going down at Cafeteria C. I heard it's two girls confronting a total jerk. Cafeteria C is right next door. Wanna go check it out? Hearing this, Miao Miao, Hao Jia, and I all exchanged a look of utter disdain. She actually went along with such a lame suggestion. Just as I was about to refuse, my phone chimed with a notification. One glance at the text message, and I immediately changed my mind, grabbing Miao Miao and Hao Jia to head for the door. As we walked, I called out to Fang Yuan, who was furtively rummaging through her bag. Sis Yuan, I thought you wanted to see the show. Come with us, you guys go ahead. Fang Yuan stammered, clutching the zipper of her backpack. I suddenly have a bit of a stomachache. I'll catch up with you later, okay? I gave her a knowing smile and gently ran my hand over the door handle, the moment the door closed. Hao Jia muttered under her breath, Qin, what showdown with the scumbag are you talking about? It's obvious Fang Yuan was lying to us. No scumbag boyfriends to tear into, but there's always human trash to take down. I led them to the stairwell and dialed the number from the text message. Hello, Officer Cheng, this is Lin Qin. We spoke earlier, right? I'll text you the dorm address. 2A611, could you please come over? 9. Both Miao Miao and Hao Jia were taken aback when Officer Cheng showed up. I hadn't told them that I had already submitted the compiled evidence on the welfare group to the police 2 weeks prior. I also handed over my alternate account in the group to them to facilitate a deeper investigation. Given the large number of people involved, we needed time to handle the situation properly. To avoid tipping anyone off, we decided to keep it quiet for the time being and didn't inform more people. Officer Cheng is my designated police liaison. She had originally come to the school today to collect on-site evidence, but unexpectedly ended up catching a perpetrator in the act. When we re-entered the dormitory, Fang Yuan was standing on Hao Jia's bed, installing a pinhole camera on one end of the fluorescent light fixture. What a tricky spot. From that angle, every move we made on the bunk beds was in plain sight. Student, what do you think you're doing? Officer Cheng barked at Fang Yuan. She was a policewoman nearing 40, who had always spoken to me softly and with great consideration for my feelings during previous interrogations, but upon witnessing Fang Yuan's actions now, it was as if she had become a different person, exuding an aura of quiet authority that commanded respect. Oh, the light's been flickering for a while. I was just checking to see if it's broken. Fang Yuan stammered out her reply, the lie coming to her lips with practiced ease. Officer Cheng was in plain clothes, so Fang Yuan had no idea who she was, yet, Fang was intimidated by her commanding presence alone. Oh, really? I spoke up right on cue, casting a cold glance at the rapidly shifting expressions on Fang Yuan's face. I picked up the bag on her desk, pulled out a black plastic bag from inside, and dumped its contents out. These are wireless, ultra-miniature cameras with memory cards. Also known as pinhole cameras, they are illegally manufactured and sold. Fang Yuan, unless I'm mistaken, you're holding the same thing, aren't you? What were you planning to do with it? What was your intention in installing it in the dormitory? I pressed on with my aggressive questioning, ignoring Fang Yuan's increasingly ashen face. Officer Cheng also produced his police identification, confirming his status. Miss, your actions constitute voyeurism, unauthorized photography, eavesdropping, and dissemination of private information. You have violated the Public Security Administration punishment law. I'm going to have to ask you to come with me. Fang Yuan was so terrified she was speechless. She stared at us for a long moment before she could process what was happening. She scrambled down from the bed, ignoring the pain in her scraped knees, and knelt on the floor, wailing pitifully. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, officer. I didn't mean to do it. Someone threatened me. I had no choice. Investigations rely on evidence. Whether she was coerced or not, we'll find out after the investigation. Officer Cheng said this calmly, helped Fang Yuan up from the ground, and took us all to the police station. When we got back that night, Miao Miao and Hao Jia were in high spirits and dragged me out for a hot pot dinner. But first thing the next morning, bad news arrived. During the interrogation, Fang Yuan confessed without reservation to the crime of installing the pinhole cameras. However, she insisted that she was coerced by Su Lei, received no benefit whatsoever, and was herself a victim. She claimed the reason she became Su Lei's girlfriend and obeyed his every command was because he possessed private photos and videos of her. The police subsequently found a large number of external hard drives in Su Lei's dormitory, corroborating Fang Yuan's account. Furthermore, all illicit dissemination was handled by Su Lei, and all illicit proceeds flowed into his personal account. Fang Yuan was left completely unscathed. If there's any other fault to find, it's that she egged us on to shower in the transparent bathroom, and in the end, this scheme did not succeed. As a result, Fang Yuan was only detained for a little over 10 days before returning to campus. Fortunately, Su Lei's crimes were confirmed, his benefits group was completely dismantled, and all those involved were punished to varying degrees according to their offenses. Although Su Lei himself managed to flee before the police arrived, a warrant has been issued for his arrest, and it's believed he will be brought to justice in short order. 10. After the incident, the news spread like wildfire. The story about Su Lei's surreptitious filming spread like wildfire across the campus. Everyone was disgusted by his actions, and a flood of anti-voyeurism posts appeared on the campus forum. The content teaches people how to avoid the risk of being filmed, and what to do if they discover they are being secretly recorded. Among other things, Officer Cheng later commended my courage for reporting the incident, but also advised me that in the future, I should not venture into the lion's den alone when encountering such events and should notify the police immediately. As for Fang Yuan, her actions were not made public within the school due to various protective principles. We saw her again a month later. That day, Fang Yuan came to the dorm to pack her things, wearing a look of defiant arrogance. You think just because I took a fall, I can't get back up? Well, sorry to disappoint you all. She couldn't even be bothered to pretend anymore. Deliberately turning her palm, she showed off the diamond ring on her finger. I should thank you all for helping me get rid of that pathetic loser, Su Lei. now I can openly seek shelter under my new patron. Even if she hadn't said it, I knew exactly who she meant by patron. During the days Fang Yuan was detained, our counselor, Wu Xianming, became visibly haggard. Logically, with such a major incident happening in the college, a counselor like him should be held accountable. Yet, Wu Xianming wasn't fired. Nor did he even receive so much as a reprimand or formal criticism. There must be secrets behind him that we're not aware of. Faced with Fang Yuan's sarcastic taunts, meow meow, how jia, and I all remained silent, letting her words go in one ear and out the other. But she just kept on chattering away, talking to herself. Girls, I won't be cramming into this dump with you all anymore. You have no idea how much my boyfriend dotes on me. He insisted I move in with him. After haphazardly packing her things, she left us with a piece of so-called advice on her way out. Listen, you're all pretty cute. Listen to your big sister's advice. A girl's youth is her greatest asset. You should find a suitable partner and settle down while you can. Understand? For fuck's sake. That's a load of crap. How Jia finally couldn't hold back and snapped back. As soon as Fang Yuan closed the door, she went ahead and sprayed the entire dorm room with air freshener. Miao Miao also recalled how Fang Yuan had defended Su Lei not long ago, utterly perplexed. Didn't she love Su Lei deeply? How could she move in with a new boyfriend right after he got into trouble? I shrugged my shoulders. Maybe she doesn't love anyone, she only loves herself. In her past life, Fang Yuan was trapped in Su Lei's twisted love, and perhaps had long harbored resentment towards him. That's why she secretly got involved with Wu Xianming behind Su Lei's back. Securing a backup plan for herself in this life, I wonder how she managed to keep Wu Xianming so devoted to her. All I can say is, I have no respect for it, nor will I offer any blessings, nor did they believe Fang Yuan would simply live happily ever after. After all, those who do wrong and escape punishment often think they've had a narrow escape and are now in the clear. Little do they know, what often awaits them is a bitter end of their own making. 11. Fang Yuan's good days were numbered. And they'd be over in less than a month. That day, someone posted on the campus forum again, saying there was going to be some drama at Cafeteria C. This time, the drama was real. Meow meow, how jia, and I happened to be right there when we saw Fang Yuan run into the cafeteria in a panic. She was shouting as she ran, he's hitting someone, help. Chasing after her was a middle-aged woman dressed in lavish clothes. She was wearing high heels and her makeup was impeccable. The comical sight of her running was completely at odds with her elegant appearance. Haven't you caused enough trouble, you mad woman? I have no idea what my son sees in you. The middle-aged woman, clearly driven to her wits' end by Fang Yuan, blurted out the words without thinking. The news was absolutely explosive. The bustling cafeteria instantly fell silent. Even the lunch lady serving speed slowed down. Seeing everyone's attention on her, Fang Yuan inexplicably found her courage. If you want to know what your son sees in me, go ask him. What kind of coward sneaks around to curse at me in private? If you want to fight, bring it on. You think I'm scared of some old hag? As soon as these words were spoken, a wave of jeers and hisses erupted from the crowd. By now, everyone had probably figured it out. This middle-aged woman was the mother of our counselor, Wu Xianming. Ever since Fang Yuan moved out of our dorm, she's been living in Wu Xuanming's faculty apartment. The two of them are inseparable, always together and openly affectionate. It's impossible not to notice. Fang Yuan doesn't try to hide it either. She even flaunts their relationship on her social media, and sure enough, it wasn't long before his mother came knocking. The buzz of conversation in the cafeteria, mingled with the smell of food, continued to grow. That's when someone recognized that Wu Xuanming's mother was a member of our school's board of trustees. The real-time campus forum instantly exploded with activity. Oh, so Wu has connections. No wonder he hasn't been fired despite his unprofessional conduct. Seriously, these two are a constant eyesore. Now they've brought a mom into it too. Give me a break. So what's the deal now? Am I just a prop in their little drama? Does anyone care how I feel? Is Aunt Wu about to say, here's 5 million, leave my son alone, waiting online? Urgently, of course, not everyone was just there for the show. Two nearby young women stepped forward to support the middle-aged lady, fearing she might faint from sheer rage, but their concern was clearly unnecessary. Just as everyone assumed the middle-aged woman was at a disadvantage, she charged forward in her stilettos. A sharp slap cut through the air, landing squarely on Fang Yuan's face. Caught completely off guard by the blow, Fang Yuan's jaw hung agape for a long moment. Once the shock wore off, she promptly plopped down on the ground and threw a tantrum. Heavy tears streamed down her face as she abandoned all pretense of composure. "You actually hit me," she pointed at the middle-aged woman, hysterical. "Do you even know I'm pregnant?" 12. The commotion at C cafeteria came to an end that day, shrouded in an eerie silence. In the end, however, the matter was escalated to the university administration, due to the severity of the incident. All departments instructed students to refrain from discussing it publicly for the time being, pending the official outcome. After learning about Fang Yuan's situation, Miao Miao, Hao Jia, and I were left with a complex mix of emotions. Fortunately, exam week was approaching, and our heavy course load consumed all our attention, leaving us with no energy to care about anything else. On the day the exams ended, we trudged back to the dormitory from the academic building. Our feet crunching in the snow, we saw Fang Yuan walking alone on the road, pulling a suitcase. With no idea where she was headed, none of us called out to her. We just glanced her way briefly, treating her as a stranger. But back then, we had no idea. That was the last time we ever saw Fang Yuan. 13. Just a couple of days into the winter break, a major traffic accident occurred in the city. Then, the news exploded across all the departmental group chats. They said that Fang Yuan and Wu Xianming were dead. Bad news travels fast, and I soon learned the whole story. It said that after the C cafeteria incident, Wu Xuanming's mother approached Fang Yuan several times, pressuring her to abort the pregnancy, but Fang Yuan refused. She saw it as her bargaining chip to marry Wu Xianming and was absolutely unwilling to give it up, besides being determined to keep the child. Fang Yuan also persuaded Wu Xianming to run away from home with her. Hoping to pressure his mother by their elopement, Wu Xianming was the only son in the family and had always obeyed his mother. Mrs. Wu was truly capable. Whether it was picking out clothes or choosing a major, she could arrange everything for her son in perfect order. Even when he failed his job application exam, she managed to secure him a position as a counselor. For the first half of his life, Wu Xianming had been walking a predetermined path, guided step by step by his mother. So when Fang Yuan offered him a chance to express his individuality, he naturally accepted with delight, and so, the two chose to elope together on that winter night, just before New Year's Eve. Little did they know, this departure would be their last. According to news reports, the speeding car was unmistakably targeting them. After hitting the couple, the driver didn't brake but instead accelerated for over 100 meters, only coming to a stop after turning onto the highway entrance ramp. The chilling sight of blood mingling with the melting snow. The driver responsible was none other than Su Lei, a fugitive on the run and Fang Yuan's ex-boyfriend. No one knows why Su Lei would commit such a heinous act. Perhaps he realized the police had tracked him down and were about to make an arrest, and he wanted to unleash his fury one last time before being caught. Or perhaps, knowing Fang Yuan had betrayed him, he watched her and Wu Xuanming's affection with bitter resentment. Unable to swallow his pride, whatever the reason, he was destined to walk through cold, iron bars and spend the rest of his life in a prison cell. A few days after the car accident, there was a new development in the C cafeteria incident. Following an investigation by the relevant authorities, it was confirmed that Wu Xuanming's mother was guilty of abusing her authority and engaging in favoritism and fraud. She has been removed from her position by the school board. As for her case involving embezzlement and bribery, due to its severity and the implication of a series of related officials, it is still under thorough investigation. A disciplinary outcome is expected soon. 14. On Chinese New Year's Eve, I received a phone call from Officer Cheng. She came to comfort me. When Fang Yuan was detained earlier, the police hadn't actually given up the investigation and were still gathering evidence of her crimes. They decided to reinterrogate her when arresting Su Lei. In order to catch both of them in one fell swoop, however, things took a turn that no one had anticipated. On the other end of the line, Officer Cheng's voice remained gentle. "Shao Qin, don't be too upset about Fang Yuan. I know you two were close, so it must feel awkward, but what's done is done. Let the past be the past. We have to keep moving forward." I replied softly. "Thank you, Officer Cheng, we will." I wonder if great minds think alike. The moment I hung up with Officer Cheng, a video call from Miao Miao and Hao Jia came through. "Happy New Year, Qin Qin." They spoke in unison, looking at their radiant smiles. My eyes suddenly welled up, and I nearly burst into tears. After all, our past lives and our present are two completely different worlds. Chin Chin, why are you crying? Meow Meow was the first to notice something was off with me. I quickly turned my head away and changed the subject. Hey, I heard our old campus isn't great in most ways. But that peach blossom grove is supposed to be beautiful. The semester starts right in spring, when the flowers are in bloom. We should go check it out together then. In my past life, the whole paparazzi scandal was such a headache, I never got to go even once. How Jia heard this and agreed readily. Sounds great, let's each enjoy the new year, and we'll meet again in the spring. Meow Meow also chimed in with a smile. See you in the spring. Alright, see you in the spring. We've been waiting for this spring for a long time. The end dash. Story 2. My younger sister awakened a spatial ability and claimed the apocalypse was coming. I used all my available liquid funds to gather a large amount of supplies and stored them in her space. In our previous life, after taking the supplies, my sister turned against me. You still have so much money left in your bank card. Don't you believe me? Now all the money in your card has turned into worthless paper. You can live with that scrap paper. I tried my best to explain, but my younger sister still wouldn't listen. She even fed the supplies I had gathered to the dog right in front of me. I was locked in the room and starved to death, yet my sister thought it was bad luck. Have Mom throw my corpse into the zombie horde. After rebirth, I obtained a golden finger. I see the disaster-proof, zombie-proof villa bought with money, and endless supplies of food and weapons. Sorry. But this time money really is omnipotent for me, sis. Even if Mom doesn't believe me, you can't not believe me too. My younger sister looked at me with displeasure and questioned. In my previous life, after seeing my sister's supernatural ability, I used all my liquid assets to stock up on supplies just in case. When my mom found out, she angrily slapped me. Is your younger sister ignorant? And are you just as clueless? You spent all the money on these useless things. I told you long ago to let me handle the money. You're such a spendthrift, always wasting it recklessly. The younger sister frowned as she watched, only making excuses for herself. Mom, how am I ignorant? I'm doing this for our family. The novel said that if supernatural powers appear, the apocalypse is sure to come. Since Big Sister has so much money anyway, what's the harm in buying some to store? If the apocalypse doesn't actually happen, it's just a small amount of money. Spent is spent. My mother glared at me. That's the only skill she has, making money. If the apocalypse really comes, Mirella will be Mom's real support. My younger sister lifted her chin, apparently quite satisfied with my mother's words. Sister, don't worry. As long as we have enough supplies in our space, our whole family will survive. I nodded and believed my sister. A week later, the apocalypse indeed arrived. Our family had enough supplies to last us a lifetime. But my sister boasted about it in the family group chat. I immediately tried to stop her, but she turned around and posted my words in the group. Sister, we're all family. How can you be so heartless? Now that we have the ability to help everyone, you're being so selfish. The aunts and uncles in the family group also took turns criticizing me while praising my younger sister. My younger sister even suggested bringing all the relatives to live in our home, and as more people moved in, I was ostracized and oppressed. My room was taken over, and I had to take care of a large family every day. My younger sister, on the other hand, was treated like the center of attention by our relatives. She threw meat on the ground in front of me to feed her pet dog. I told you the apocalypse was coming and to stock up on supplies. You still have so much money left in your bank account. Didn't you believe me? Now all the money in your card has turned into worthless paper. You can live with that scrap paper slowly. I desperately explained. I'm afraid that if the apocalypse doesn't come, we still need to keep some savings. But my younger sister didn't believe me and ordered our mother to lock me in the storage room. You're just good at making some money, that's all. Now times have changed. I'm the only savior. I was starved to death in the storage room. By the time my sister had someone let me out, my corpse was already emitting the stench of decay. My sister covered her nose in disgust. How useless, dying after just a few days of starvation. Mom, get her out of here quickly. Dead people shouldn't take up space. My mother frowned. Where should we take her? My sister pointed to the balcony. Since she's already dead, just throw her out there to feed the zombies. That way we won't have to listen to those starving zombies whining. It's so annoying. I was thrown from the 15th floor and devoured by a horde of zombies. Before my eyes, my younger sister kept demanding whether I truly believed her. Sis, You've always been the one who dotes on me most. Don't tell me even you don't believe me." I forced a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Of course I believe you." My younger sister grabbed my hand excitedly. "Then quickly take out the money to buy supplies. As long as we fill the space, our whole family can survive the apocalypse." I looked at her awkwardly. "But all my cash is tied up in the stock market." My sister anxiously stared at me. "Then withdraw it all immediately." "I can't withdraw it now. Can't take it out. Don't you trust me? Is that why you're saying it can't be taken out?" My younger sister glared at me angrily. "What if the apocalypse really comes? I have spatial abilities but can't fight zombies. If I don't have supplies, my powers will be useless. You have to figure something out." I lowered my eyes and made a suggestion. "How about this? Try talking to Mom again. Isn't the house we're living in now the one I bought before? It's worth $3 million. If necessary, we can sell it at a lower price. I've transferred quite a bit of savings to Mom over these years, and all those designer bags in your wardrobe, plus the clothes and shoes, they could all be sold." My younger sister frowned. "That won't do. What would I wear if we sold them?" I thought sarcastically to myself. "But now I don't have any cash on hand. Didn't you want to stock up on supplies? If you can't bear to part with your things, then there's no way to make the purchases." My younger sister gritted her teeth and said, "Let's sell the house first. I'll go talk to Mom." I watched my sister's figure disappear into the distance, and soon the sound of an argument came from the room. "Mom, I have a feeling that if we don't hurry, it'll really be too late." "My dear, this villa is the dowry I saved for you. Don't listen to your sister's nonsense." "Mom, if the apocalypse doesn't actually come, we can just have my sister buy it back after her funds become available. Right now, gathering supplies is the real priority." I scoffed at my younger sister's words. Her calculations were so transparent you could hear them from abroad. 10 minutes later, my sister came out of the room triumphantly holding the property deed. Yet in my past life, when I spent my own money to buy supplies, I got slapped and scolded for half an hour. My younger sister triumphantly placed the property deed in my hand. "Sis, you have wide connections. Take the house and sell it. The faster the cash comes in, the better. I have a feeling the apocalypse is coming very soon." I took the property deed and nodded, making an excuse to go out. The house must be sold. But the money can only be mine. I returned to the apartment under my name, calculating all my assets. I sold all the stocks in my hands, disposed of all my shares, and liquidated every car in the garage along with the reclaimed property deeds. Everything was sold off. Now, with just a few days left before the apocalypse arrives, time is of the essence. My sister was right. I have extensive connections. In almost a single day, I converted all my real estate holdings into liquid funds. Now, the balance in my card has soared to 50 million. A ding, electronic sound suddenly echoed in my mind. Ding, sufficient balance detected. Successfully bound to the Apocalypse System store. This store has everything you could imagine and more at fair prices. Even after witnessing my sister's spatial abilities, they paled in comparison to the awe the system store inspired in me. The further I looked, the brighter my eyes became. Immediately found someone to purchase a plot of land in the suburbs and couldn't wait to buy the top-tier villa from the system. The villa materialized before my eyes. According to the description, it was fully furnished, impenetrable to any weapon, resistant to zombies, equipped with an electric fence. No one could enter without my permission. The villa also came with various high-tech features: solar power system, climate control, and filtration system, essentially the ultimate natural fortress for the apocalypse, with security guaranteed. Now it's all about stocking up on supplies. In my past life I starved to death, so I immediately bought all kinds of ingredients and snacks at the store. I stocked up on plenty of daily necessities: cars, gasoline, generators, clothes, anything useful. The store even had weapons with extraordinary combat power, but unfortunately I didn't have enough money. So I made a quick decision and took out every possible loan available, stockpiled quite a few high-tech weapons. Seeing only 3 million left in my savings, I felt strangely at ease. In just 3 short days, my younger sister had already called me over 100 times. I didn't answer a single one. I bought the house at home. When I purchased it, I installed many hidden cameras as a precaution against accidents. I turned on the surveillance. My sister, with tears in her eyes, was packing her designer bags, clothes, and shoes to sell while cursing at me. That bitch Alara must be keeping the money for herself to buy supplies. I'm her own sister, yet she abandoned me. She doesn't even have spatial abilities. What's the use of hoarding all those supplies? They'll just get looted sooner or later. My mother joined in the verbal abuse. I told you she was just after the house, and you, foolish girl, kept insisting the apocalypse was coming and handed her the property deed. Yesterday I went to her workplace to confront her, only to find out she'd quit. Luckily, I've saved up quite a bit over the years, otherwise, my sister immediately cut off Mom. Exactly, Mom, you still have savings, give them to me now. I have a feeling if we don't prepare soon, it'll be too late. My mother poked my younger sister's forehead with her index finger. You're still talking about the apocalypse. Who brainwashed you like this, seeing that our mother still didn't believe her? My sister glared at her in frustration. Mom, if the apocalypse isn't coming, how do you explain my superpower? And I keep dreaming about the end times these days. It must be a warning from heaven. I must be the savior, otherwise how would I know? Mom, stop dawdling, give me the savings now. I'll sell everything, then stock up on supplies, otherwise when the zombies come, we'll become their next meal. My mother was intimidated by my sister's confident demeanor and hesitantly took out her bank card. Will there really be zombies? My sister took the bank card and smiled triumphantly. I knew you'd always be on my side. Mom, don't worry, as long as we stockpile enough supplies, we'll definitely live like royalty when the apocalypse comes. As for Alara, she won't be my sister anymore. When the time comes, even if she begs on her knees, I'll never forgive her. My mother agreed. That's the only thing she's good at, making money. If the apocalypse really happens, Mirella will be my true support. Hearing these familiar words, I couldn't help but feel a pang of irony in my heart. It's a pity that without my financial support this time, will their savings really be enough to maintain the lavish lifestyle they had in their previous lives? I've finally got everything ready to welcome the arrival of the apocalypse. Lying on the recliner in the big villa while sipping orange juice, my phone buzzed again. As soon as I answered the call, I heard chaotic background noise and my younger sister's crying. Alara, did you sell the house? I instantly understood. Oh, so it's the people coming to collect the house. Yeah, wasn't it you who told me to sell it? My sister's voice sounded somewhat broken. I told you to sell it to buy supplies for my space. I don't care. Make them leave now. You know the apocalypse is coming. What will happen to me and Mom if we get kicked out? How can you be so heartless? Do you really not care whether Mom and I live or die? Mom's curses echoed from the side. Alara, get your ass back here right now. This house is mine, don't think I won't sue you. I scoffed. Where exactly would she sue me when the apocalypse is at hand? The 18 levels of hell. I was the one who paid for this house in the first place. So what if I sell it now? As for you all, you'll have to fend for yourselves. I hung up the phone and opened the surveillance feed to watch the two of them being thrown out in disgrace. My sister and mother blocked the door to prevent anyone from entering. Initially considering the controversy surrounding this house, I sold it at a low price to the local bully nearby. Naturally, the few people who came to claim the house now are no good either. Seeing that the two wouldn't open the door, they immediately fetched an axe to force their way in. The axe left a mark on the door as it struck. The younger sister and mother hugged each other, screaming repeatedly. The next second, the sound of chopping at the door stopped. My sister trembled all over and pushed my mom. Mom, go take a look. My mom shakily walked to the front door and peered through the peephole, just in time to meet a pair of pale, faded eyes. My mother screamed and fell to the ground. Ah, there's a monster. The apocalypse has arrived. Although it's a bit regrettable that the two weren't kicked out, seeing them utterly terrified gave me immense satisfaction. After recovering from the shock, my younger sister actually stopped being afraid. Instead, she became rather excited. Mom, the apocalypse has really come. I told you so. Good thing we prepared a ton of supplies. If we ration carefully, the stuff in my space can last us a lifetime. 3. My mother was so moved by my sister's words that she shed tears. Mirella, you're truly Mom's lucky star. Thankfully you were prepared in advance. Mom will rely on you from now on. For the next several days, Mirella sent me video updates daily like clockwork, sometimes showing her luxurious lunch, other times her lavish afternoon tea. Alara, don't think you can just take all the money to buy supplies. Without storage space, no matter how much you hoard, it'll just expire and become useless. Moreover, with so many supplies all to yourself, you can't possibly hide them all. Wait until they get stolen, then you'll understand what it means to do the hard work only for others to reap the benefits. With mom around, I don't even have to cook, I can just lie around all day. You must be having a pretty rough time all by yourself. I never replied to a single message from Mirella, but I saved every message record. Finally, I saw someone bubble up in the family group chat. Is anyone still alive? My family has no food left. Does any brother, sister, uncle, or aunt have any food at home? I can pay for it. As soon as these words were spoken, the surviving members of the family group quickly responded, same here, woo woo, there are monsters everywhere outside. I'm alone at home with no food at all. I'm also willing to pay. Any amount is fine. What's the use of money now? It's just worthless paper. Besides, even if we were to trade, we'd have to meet in person. But the streets are full of zombies now. Who dares to go out? Our family is a big one, and in these critical times, we must unite as one. Both my sons have awakened special abilities. If any of you have food supplies, I can bring my sons to protect you. Our family is the same. There's strength in numbers. We need to gather together to overcome these difficult times. Agreed. Right now, the most important thing is knowing which households have supplies. I smiled at the flood of messages in the family group chat. In my past life, it was at this moment that Mirella stepped forward, announcing she had supplies and inviting everyone to come to our house. The relatives who once flattered me now slandered me to the ground, trampling on me while lifting up my younger sister. Having witnessed the diversity of human nature, I didn't find this particularly strange. The only thing that surprised me was Mirella's changed attitude. I only learned the reason just before my death, when I was starving to death. Mirella stood over me with an air of superiority. I grew up under your shadow all along. Now you finally understand how I felt. I was particularly baffled at that moment. Haven't I treated you well? Mom always made me yield to you since childhood, and I bought you whatever you wanted when we grew up. She glared at me with hatred. No matter how hard I tried, you always effortlessly stole the glory that should have been mine. But it doesn't matter now. From the moment I awakened my supernatural ability, I became the true protagonist. After saying this, she smirked and threw the meat to the dog right in front of me. Seeing me try to snatch it, Mirella burst into laughter 3 times. A proud son of heaven actually fighting a dog for food. How shameless. I'd rather feed it to the dog than give it to you. Beef jerky, pork jerky, diced rabbit meat, spicy strips, potato chips, biscuits, jelly, dried fish, cola, Sprite, Fanta, but I was the one who prepared all that food. I'll take 5 boxes of each. I'm unwilling to accept this, but it's useless. Mirella strode out the door with the dog, and as it closed, I was plunged back into darkness. This time I decisively posted the photos Mirella sent me to show off in the group chat. The family group members who had been silent suddenly all came alive. Oh my God, your family is still eating this well even during the apocalypse. You even have braised fish and mushroom stewed chicken. I'm drooling just looking at them. Elara dear, Aunt Sen always knew you'd make something of yourself, taking such good care of the family. Please, have mercy and help Aunt Sen's family too. We haven't eaten properly in 2 days. And our family too. Elara, you can't play favorites like this. I smiled faintly and sent a message in the group chat. Oh. Actually, this is all thanks to my sister's foresight. She prepared so much food in advance that we can't even finish it all. As soon as these words were spoken, the group's tone instantly shifted to praising Mirella, for Mirella is truly amazing, even predicting messages in advance at Mirella. Aunt Seven is bringing your 2 cousins to protect you right away. Meanwhile, Mirella was frantically calling and messaging me. You're not allowed to speak in the group anymore. What good does it do to bring them to our home? There's barely enough food for me and Mom as it is. I replied, but if you don't save them, they'll die. So what if they die? It's none of my business. I wish they'd all die. Nobody should come to my house. I sneered. That wasn't what you said in our past life. So, was it because I prepared too many supplies for you in our past life? To deal with such people, I choose to give them a taste of their own medicine. I forwarded my chat history with Mirella into the group, returning every word she said in her past life to her unchanged. Little sister, we're all family. How can you be so unreasonable? Now that we have the ability to help everyone, you're being so selfish. Everyone in the group instantly became furious, attacking Mirella just as they had attacked me in our past lives. Mirella initially pretended to be dead, until everyone made their proposal, since she doesn't consider us family. We won't hold back either, let's all gather together and go to her house. After all, they can't run away now. With our numbers, I refuse to believe we can't handle this little brat. The replies below were all messages of support. Mirella panicked at the sight and wanted to divert the trouble elsewhere. I don't have any food left. Elara does. Elara sold her house to stock up on supplies. She must have plenty of food and resources. Go look for them. I quickly posted a screenshot of my stock soaring in the red. I sold my house mainly because I went bankrupt. I had no choice but to sell it. Now I only have 3 cups of instant noodles left. Little sister, please let your big sister come home, okay? The relatives in the family group took one look and decisively set their sights on Mirella, no matter how much I insisted in the group chat about having supplies. Not a single person believed Mirella. I looked at my phone and laughed out loud at the flood of abusive messages drowning me. This satisfying revenge is still far from enough. I sit on the balcony enjoying the good life. In the past, I was too busy working overtime to earn money and never had a proper rest. Now I finally have time to relax with a cup of coffee, clear my mind, and when bored, take out the laser gun to shoot zombies wandering outside the villa. Watching Mirella crying on the surveillance feed, as usual. I turn on the surveillance to watch the live feed. Just as I saw the villa's gate being split open, a swarm of relatives rushed into the villa like bees. Mirella and my mom hid in the corner, being interrogated. Tell us, where's the food? Mirella trembled. I've already said I don't have any food. You've all been tricked by Elara, sharp-eyed Aunt Sen exclaimed. Impossible. You've clearly gained weight. How could you have no food? Hand it over now. My mother shielded Mirella behind her. Aunt San. Can't you speak properly? You're scaring the child. Aunt San glared at them. You've been feasting at home without a thought for us relatives. We came all this way, and you still refuse to share. Aunt Chi beside her tugged at Aunt San's sleeve. Why waste words? Just search the place. At the command, everyone began searching frantically, even digging out underwear from the wardrobe. After searching everywhere, the group gathered before the 2 again. Why isn't it here? Where did you hide the food? The eldest cousin, a metal-type ability user who had just finished repairing the villa's front door, walked in. Since there's nothing at home, it must be because one of them has a power to hide things, fooling everyone. Since you refuse to hand it over, then, the eldest cousin put a knife to my mother's neck. Hand it over or die. My mom and Mirella burst into tears together, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. We'll pay, we'll pay. I almost laughed at the scene before me. In my past life, my elder cousin was Mirella's simp. If not for the blood relation, he would have rushed to confess his love to Mirella. Mirella's trembling hand raised, revealing a row of food. 5. The starving relatives who hadn't eaten for days rushed forward, their eyes burning with primal hunger for food. Mirella stared at the devoured food with eyes full of hatred and regret. Why didn't we prepare some poison or something when gathering supplies back then? After the feast, everyone turned their gaze back to the mother and daughter, deciding their fate. What about them? Third aunt suggested. Lock them in a room, since they won't help us voluntarily. Why should we treat them kindly? Everyone agreed with third aunt's proposal. Mirella and my mother were locked in the storage room where I died in my previous life. The storage room had no windows, and the light switch was outside. Once the door was closed, it became pitch black. Mirella and my mother clung to each other, drawing a sense of security from one another while cursing me. It's all Elara's fault. If she hadn't posted those photos and videos in the group chat, we wouldn't have ended up like this. I should have strangled her when she was born. That little bitch even dares to screw over her own mother. And these poor relatives of ours, who used to grovel before me, how dare they treat me like this now? They must be out of their minds. I immediately sent this video clip to our family group chat. The next second, the storage room door swung open, and the room erupted with sounds of violent beatings, screams, sobs, and pleas for mercy. After receiving a beating, Mirella behaved obediently. To prevent Mirella from stealing food, the relatives kept her under close supervision doing odd jobs. But when has Mirella, who was pampered since childhood, ever done such work, constantly scolded and beaten? Until finally numb, just like my past self, groveling to please everyone just to survive, life became dull. But how could I allow that? I stared at the pile of enemies under the lens. Not just Mirella, but also these relatives who bullied me relentlessly in my past life. So I posted the photo again in the community group chat, along with the house number. I even specifically uploaded Mirella's photo. My name is Mirella. I'm a spatial ability user with plenty of supplies in my dimensional space. But I've been imprisoned by my relatives. If any kind soul is willing to rescue me, I'm willing to provide them with supplies. The community group chat exploded too, and all the surviving members gathered together, arriving at the villa's entrance in an angry mob under the banner of rescuing Mirella. The relatives panicked instantly upon seeing over 40 people outside. They immediately questioned the crowd's intentions, and upon learning it was Mirella who called for help, they viciously beat her up. Mirella cried and begged for mercy. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I didn't send a distress message in the community group. It really wasn't me. The relatives didn't believe Mirella's words. After beating her, they discussed and eventually let everyone in. After all, the enemy outnumbers us, so it's better not to make enemies. Secondly, there are zombies roaming outside. A few can be dealt with, but if too many people gather, zombies from the entire city will swarm over. Once the gate is breached, we'll all be like turtles caught in a jar, losing more than gaining. With over a dozen relatives and more than 40 people from community groups, the villa became instantly crowded. It's not just the sharp decrease in food supplies, even accommodation became an issue. The relatives were comfortably settled in their rooms, but the neighbors wouldn't have it, leading to conflicts almost daily. Their way of resolving conflicts was simple: just fight it out. The erosion of humanity in the apocalypse made them forget they were acting in the name of saving Mirella. Mirella's status remained unchanged, merely a low-tier food supply tool, but the food in Mirella's space was gradually running out after days of consumption. As food grew increasingly scarce, everyone gradually deemed Mirella useless and would frequently beat and kick her. After a blow to the head, Mirella woke up to the dire situation before her and nearly broke down. No, this can't be right. Wasn't I supposed to be the savior? You should all be worshipping me. How did this happen? Didn't my space just have an abundance of supplies? Mirella clutched her head, screaming frantically. No way. Shouldn't Alara be dead? I get it now. Alara must have been reborn. It's definitely Alara's doing. I knew she couldn't stand to see me happy. Mirella widened her eyes as she looked at everyone. Alara. Alara must still be alive. She knew the apocalypse was coming all along. She must have stockpiled supplies. If we just find Alara, we'll be saved. As usual, I turned on the surveillance, but unexpectedly overheard Mirella's words. I know that Mirella has also been reborn, and the thought of it excites me even more. A Mirella with memories will make revenge even more satisfying. The neighbors had no idea who Alara was and simply thought Mirella had gone mad, scattering away. While the relatives seemed lost in thought instead, the eldest cousin stepped forward and asked Mirella, since you know Alara prepared a lot of supplies, do you know where Alara is now? Mirella covered her face and shook her head. I don't know. Third aunt slapped Mirella across the face. If you don't know, then why are you spouting nonsense? I picked up my phone and sent Mirella a video call. When Mirella answered the call, her eyes were filled with hatred as she looked at me. Alara, I knew you were still alive. You've reincarnated, haven't you? You bitch. I'm going to kill you. You should have died. How dare you treat me like this? I smiled. I ignored Mirella's words and calmly sipped my afternoon tea. Oh, the coffee is a bit bitter, but the little cake is quite sweet. After saying that, I flipped the camera to show the little cake on the table. 6. Mirella on the other end was still shouting, Alara, just you wait. She suddenly stopped mid-sentence, then burst into laughter. Laughing so hard that tears and snot ran down her face, the relatives stepped back one after another, feeling that Mirella had been driven mad. After finishing her laughter, Mirella pointed at me. Alara, you're finished. I know where you are now. Just wait, you'll become the next me. I curled my lips. Oh really? Then I look forward to you coming for me. After saying that, I hung up the phone. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by the noise downstairs, wearing my pajamas. I came out to the balcony and saw Mirella leading a group of people standing outside my villa, attempting to open the main gate. I smiled. A villa designed to withstand zombies and natural disasters couldn't possibly be opened manually. At that moment, a relative outside spotted me and pointed in my direction. Look, it's Alara. She really didn't die, and she's living so well all by herself. How selfish. Everyone else is struggling so much. How can she still be enjoying herself? Of course. There were also those who played the family card. Alara, your auntie even held you when you were little. Can't you save your auntie now? I've always believed in you. Alara, let us in. I ignored my relatives' pleas and started counting the people. Why is one still missing? Oh, my mom is still locked in the storage room. Must be over half a month now. TSK, now I'm probably more screwed than when I died in my previous life. Seeing the lack of people, I decisively turned my gaze toward Mirella. Mirella had already become so emaciated she barely looked human, glaring at me fiercely. I found you, Elara. You couldn't defeat me in your past life, and you won't defeat me in this one either. I let out a mocking laugh. Do you really think you could have found this place if I didn't want you to? Yes, I intentionally revealed landmarks to let Mirella know my location. Mirella glared at me venomously. Once I get in, I swear I'll kill you. I shrugged. I'm afraid you won't be able to get in. The cousin who was trying to use his special ability to unlock the door but failed, angrily punched the door in frustration. The sound of electric current sizzled as the cousin let out a howl and quickly withdrew his hand. Everyone immediately backed 3 steps away from my door. Mirella looked at me in shock. How long ago did you reincarnate? It's impossible you could have made so many preparations in such a short time, but I'm the savior. I was the one who saved them. I'm clearly stronger and more capable than you, so why do you get to reincarnate? What gives you the right to be reborn? Watching Mirella's frenzied state, I sneered and said, maybe even the heavens couldn't stand what you did in your past life. Gave me an absolutely invincible golden finger. As long as I have money, I can buy anything, and guess what? I just happen to have money. I smiled at Mirella. Didn't you say money is just worthless paper in the apocalypse? Well, sorry, but money is omnipotent in my hands. Mirella looked at me in disbelief. What can money do in the apocalypse? Throw it at zombies. I spent money to buy a bag of chips from the store, munching on them noisily. Money is of course for buying things. Mirella looked shocked. Where did you buy this? I raised an eyebrow. Give it a try. Mirella didn't move, but instead the auntie beside her took out her bank card and started praying to the gods. When third aunt took action, many relatives followed suit, but unfortunately none of them manifested any divine power. Mirella shouted angrily, "You've been deceived. Elara tricked you. This must be her special ability. If we charge in and hold a knife to her throat, she'll surely tell the truth." The relatives were stirred up by Mirella, yet they hesitated as they gazed at my imposing villa gate. They tried everything, axes, fire, hammers, using every tool at their disposal, until the horizon turned pale. The zombies around had been completely wiped out by the lethal weapons I used earlier, resulting in not a single one appearing. The relatives who couldn't get in were now exhausted and collapsed on the side. Third aunt cried and shouted at the door, "Elara, I beg you, please let us in. I'll serve you like a slave, just save us." I dug my ears and pulled out a new type of firework tube bought with money. "Since you've disturbed my beauty sleep, you might as well become fuel for the fireworks." The crowd turned pale with shock at the sight. "Elara, we're blood relatives. If you won't save us, do you really intend to kill us?" Mirella widened her eyes in disbelief. "How dare you, Elara? I'm your own sister, your own flesh and blood." I let out a cold laugh. "Now you realize I'm your biological sister. When you killed me in our past life, why didn't you consider I was your own elder sister?" A tear fell from Mirella's eye, her gaze filled with utter despair. 3, 2, 1, fire. I pressed the activation button. I clearly saw the terror in Mirella's eyes and the relatives scattering in all directions, screaming to escape. Too bad it's useless. My fireworks launcher has a targeting function, you know. Every single person who bullied me in my past life won't get away. Whoosh boom. Clusters of fireworks soared into the sky, becoming the last brilliance in this apocalyptic world. I leaned against the railing, admiring my own masterpiece. Beautiful, absolutely breathtaking. The fireworks were fleeting, but vengeance was finally mine. I finally raised a happy smile, turning back into the house. What follows is a new life and a fresh start. Story 2, my celebrity boyfriend had his scandal exposed. And it was found out that he had 8 romantic partners. As a result, I wasn't among those 8. Before I could even have the chance to confront this scumbag, a global zombie outbreak occurred. A week later, with all ammunition and food supplies exhausted, I was put into a pot and steamed, accompanied by the fragrant aroma of cooking wine, salt, scallions, ginger, and garlic. I was reborn from the ashes. The person who was holding the ladle had their positions reversed. 1. More and more zombies pounced towards me, and the intense pain gnawed at every nerve of mine. fear, and despair kept spreading until they completely enveloped me. Jingle bell. The sound of the alarm clock rang out, and I was suddenly jolted awake. I sat up straight in bed. Cold sweat soaked through my clothes, and my hair stuck wetly to my face. I must have looked extremely dejected at that moment, but I didn't have the time to care about it. Without bothering to put on my shoes, I ran barefoot to look for my phone that was tossed among the messy clothes. Honey, what's wrong? You're not sleeping in the middle of the night. Aren't you tired enough yet? Dennis's deliberately lowered bubble voice came from behind, and the words he said were greasy and disgusting. It was obvious that he had deeply ingrained the little wolf dog persona that the company had arranged for him in the past. I would just laugh off this persona. But now I think it's incredibly accurate. Dennis is truly an ungrateful wretch, and he's really despicable, yes, and he's still young. Every word fits him perfectly, remembering the way he walked towards me with a knife and an axe, grinning ferociously as he wanted to chop me up and put me in the pot. I suddenly felt a wave of nausea and wretched. In fact, I really did vomit. Clutching my phone, I ran to the bathroom and vomited until I felt dizzy. After rinsing my mouth, I splashed some cold water on my face and checked the time displayed on my phone again. It was 3:35 a.m. on April 17, 2058. The lingering pain in my body reminded me that all of that wasn't a dream. I was back, 3 days before the zombie outbreak. When I had calmed down and dragged my weak body out of the bathroom, Dennis was already half sitting on the bed. He deliberately exposed a large part of his chest and looked at me suggestively. Honey, I was so tired just now. Don't I deserve a reward? I've taken a fancy to a pair of sneakers. Before he could finish his words, I couldn't help but interrupt him. Is something that only takes a few seconds really that tiring? As expected, Dennis's face darkened. Too, I had never been so straightforward with Dennis about this matter before, because in the past, I loved him and cared about his feelings. I accompanied him for a full 7 years. From when he was just a poor wage earner to now when he has become an unknown and unsuccessful celebrity. He used to have a strong drive, being poor but with lofty aspirations. Now, all he has is his good looks, and the rest is full of calculation, philistinism, and hypocrisy. Perhaps because he was still thinking about those sneakers, Dennis somehow managed to hold back his anger and crawled towards me with a forced smile. Honey, what's wrong? Are you angry that I didn't care about you just now? I made a gesture to stop him and took 2 steps back to distance myself from Dennis. Don't come closer. I just vomited, and there's still a smell on me. As expected, Dennis stopped right there. This bastard suddenly developed intermittent cleanliness in the past 2 years. In other words, it's a kind of opportunistic cleanliness. He can't tolerate even the slightest smell from me, but for his agent, Eloise, he can go beyond the limits of human tolerance. This Eloise is basically a top-notch person at making empty promises. She usually instills in Dennis the power of connections and the unspoken rules of the entertainment industry, and this fool Dennis actually believes it. He always thinks that as long as he serves her well, he can become famous and successful. No matter how many times I told him to calm down and work hard, to study, he wouldn't listen. Instead, he would laugh at me for being naive. In my previous life, when the zombie outbreak happened, Dennis came to my house to recuperate for some reason, and Eloise came along too. This despicable couple ate and drank my things, and in the end, because of the food shortage, they set their sights on me. They drugged me. If I hadn't used up my last bit of strength and would rather jump off the building and feed myself to the zombies than let them have their way, I might have really become their food. Remembering the despair at that time, I wish I could kill this ungrateful and insensible beast right in front of me. However, in a society ruled by law, everything has to follow the procedures. What's more, heaven has given me another chance. Instead of directly killing them, I want them to taste the pain I've endured. No, I want them to pay it back double. 3. How could I dislike you? I don't even have enough time to feel sorry for you. As if making up his mind about something, Dennis suddenly leaned towards me, undaunted by difficulties. This was something I didn't expect. Of course, I'm not naive enough to think that he suddenly changed his nature and discovered my goodness. Instead, I believe that there must be something fishy when things seem abnormal. This bastard must have some ulterior motives, and most likely, it's not just about a pair of shoes. Honey, I just remembered. The demolition compensation for that house of yours in the urban village should arrive in the next couple of days, right? Sure enough, In terms of disappointing me, Dennis never fails to do so. Looking back, he had said this before, but it was the next morning. It seems that my sudden awakening in the middle of the night somehow accelerated the progress of the events a bit. Not yet, I asked the bank, and they said it will arrive in 3 days. In fact, the money was already in my card. But I would never give it to him like I did in my previous life and let him spend it on God knows what. Thinking of this, I'm really curious about how this bastard spent such a large sum of money. 3 days later, Dennis stepped back a bit disappointedly, and his face immediately fell. He's really a master at changing his expression. In the past, I might have been a bit nervous and would have quickly tried to comfort him when he was unhappy, but now, whether he's happy or not, I just want him to die as soon as possible. I'm a bit tired, you can leave first. I kicked the clothes he had thrown under the bed, making it very clear that I was asking him to leave. Dennis finally noticed my change, but before he could open his mouth, I started my act. If you don't leave now, you'll have to leave tomorrow morning, otherwise, you'll be photographed. It's too early for you to get up, and it will be so tiring. If Eloise knows that you came to my place, she will definitely scold you. I don't want you to be scolded by her. Send me the link to the shoes, and I'll buy them for you. They're probably going to arrive in about 3 days. I played the coquettish act and made empty promises, all neatly arranged. 2 minutes later, Dennis left my house in a rather clumsy manner. The moment the door closed, I immediately took out my phone and started shopping on JD, all choosing the next day delivery option, barrels of water, instant noodles, snail rice noodles, bread, soy milk powder, black sesame paste, snacks, etc. These are all the things I like. 90 compressed biscuits, dried meat, chocolate bars, dried fruits, canned fruits, etc. These have a long shelf life, take up little space, and are convenient to handle and store. Toilet paper, disinfectant, quilts, winter clothes, power banks, hand warmers, electric blankets, flashlights, etc. These are all things that might be useful in daily life. In addition, I also bought several drones, high-powered binoculars, and various monitoring and listening devices. These are my future safety guarantees and sources of mental entertainment. Without them, how could I watch and listen to the reality show of Dennis and Eloise in the apocalypse? For, after finishing all these, I went to check the rental information online. Although this house isn't small, since Dennis and Eloise already know about it, it means it's not safe. The occupancy rate of the community I'm currently in isn't particularly high. I originally wanted to rent a house in the opposite building, but after looking around, I didn't find anything suitable. Instead, in the building I'm in, the 2 top-floor apartments are available for rent. This kind of large single-family apartment on each floor has higher privacy and security. This building has a total of 12 floors. I'm currently living on the 3rd floor, and the 10th floor hasn't been sold yet. It's just perfect for me to rent the 11th and 12th floors. Moreover, the 12th floor has a large rooftop that can be used for planting or raising things. In addition, I also made a detailed plan before dawn, including the purchase of medicines, house renovation, energy conversion, etc. At 8:30 a.m., I rushed into the pharmacy downstairs. Besides common medicines like cold medicine, anti-inflammatory drugs, and vitamins, I also stocked up on a lot of regular medicines for my old health problems. I dragged 2 suitcases of medicines home and put them away, and then immediately rushed downstairs to discuss the rental matters. Since I paid the money promptly, the contract was signed smoothly. Before long, I got the keys. Half an hour later, the agreed construction team arrived at my house. Not this one, it's the 11th and 12th floors. Replace all the main doors as a whole, with safety and firmness as the main considerations. Install an additional door 3 meters away from the main door, and it needs to have an anti-theft net. Replace all the windows with bulletproof glass and apply one-way see-through film. Help install surveillance cameras in the corridors and safety passages. There should be no blind spots. Make a regional plan for the rooftop. I want to do some planting and breeding. I rattled on a lot, and the foreman looked a bit stunned. Don't worry about either the material costs or the labor costs. I won't default on the payment. Instead, I'll pay a part of it in advance. I have only one requirement. Finish it within 2 days. If it's done well and meets the quality standards, I'll give an additional 30% of the project payment as a bonus. Anyway, I'm not short of money. With my last sentence, The foreman suddenly understood everything and even gave a lot of useful suggestions. Just after chatting with the foreman, I turned around and entered the room. Dennis's phone call came through. "Honey, I'm in trouble. Here's what happened. Stop talking, I understand. I'll transfer a little money to you." After saying that, I hung up the phone and opened Instagram to make a transfer. I entered the amount of 0.01 yuan. I said a little, and it's really just a little. Even though it's just a little, I still feel pained. Why is the transfer limit only up to 2 decimal places, after all? I still gave too much. 5. After doing all these, I calculated the time difference. My best friend Aubrey, who is overseas, should almost be awake at this time, and her precious phone is probably turned on too. Unexpectedly, before I could call her, she sent me a piece of news first. Weibo trending topic. The real octopus, an unpopular celebrity, is in a relationship and has 8 partners at the same time. Then, the phone rang. "Lynn, have you seen the news? That bastard Dennis actually dared to cheat. Besides you, he's been in a relationship with 7 other people. He's a master of time management. No wonder his career is failing. It turns out that the useless guy spent all his energy on this. The most famous he's ever been in his life is today, an unpopular celebrity's relationship, getting on the headlines just by the number of partners." The comments section is full of people asking who he is. Then, there came the standard swear words. Aubrey cursed very vulgarly and incidentally showed me her rich vocabulary. "By the way, among the chat records exposed in the news, which one is you? Why are you even using a secondary account to date? I don't recognize the profile picture at all." Facing Aubrey's curiosity, I was silent for a moment and then replied calmly, "None of them is me. I'm the 9th shadowy lover." 3 seconds later, Aubrey's burst of laughter made my ears ache. "Sorry, I've received strict training. No matter how funny something is, I won't laugh, unless, I can't help it." Pfft, ha 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 ha. After the hearty laughter subsided, Aubrey finally calmed down from her overly joyful mood, and I quickly explained the current situation to her. It's not realistic for her to return to the country now, not to mention that plane tickets are hard to get. Even if she manages to get one, she will have to be quarantined upon arrival, and that would make her situation even more dangerous. First, I told Aubrey everything I could remember, and then I shared with her the survival guide that I made overnight. Aubrey and I have known each other for many years, so she naturally understands that I wouldn't joke about such a thing. She immediately became serious. After ending the call, I went upstairs to make sure that the construction workers had started their work. Then I checked the time and rushed straight to the security booth downstairs. It was the time for the security guards to change shifts, and I quickly found 2 community security guards who were about to get off work. I handed them 2 bottles of water and 2 packs of cigarettes, and then stuffed a few hundred-yuan red envelope into each of their hands. I smiled and said, "Guys, I bought a lot of things online. I'm a girl and don't have the strength to move them, and I'm in a hurry to go out now. Could you please do me a favor? Money makes the world go round." And no one hit someone with a smiling face. They took the things, looked at me, and patted their chests to promise that they would put everything in order. Of course, I understand that letting others know that I'm stockpiling a large amount of goods will pose a potential safety hazard, but the thing is, I won't be living in that house later. Just a reality show starring Dennis and Eloise would be too boring. I have to find some supporting characters, right? After finishing all these, looking at the bunch of missed calls from Dennis on my phone, I finally clicked to call back. "Come out, let's meet." 6. Since there's construction work going on at home, if I want to meet Dennis, I naturally have to choose another place. I was very thoughtful and found a hotel near the crew where Dennis was working. Since the news about him had just broken out not long ago, there were a lot of fans and paparazzi around. I booked a room in advance and then went in to set up the surveillance cameras. Only then did I send the room number to Dennis and wait for him to come. During the time I was waiting for Dennis to come, according to the position of the cameras, I selected the doorway as the best shooting angle and set up the stage there. Fortunately, Dennis didn't let me down. He probably had a rehearsal before coming, and he really put on a great show. As soon as he entered the door, he knelt down in front of me with a thud. "You're really the only one for me." I nodded expressionlessly. "Well, the other 8 have all been exposed. It's time for the 9th shadowy lover, me, to make an appearance." "No, it's not like that. Those were all misunderstandings." Dennis crawled on his knees all the way up to me, hugged my thigh, and started crying. Subconsciously, I grabbed his hair and pulled him away, and then gave him a kick to send him further away. So as not to get contaminated by his filthy self, after this smooth series of actions, I felt a bit regretful. All of those just now were nothing but instinctive reactions of my body. If I wanted to set a trap for him, I still needed to act a bit. Misunderstandings. Are you sure those were all misunderstandings? What on earth am I to you, one of your many babies, or an invisible baby, who doesn't even deserve to have a name? As I spoke, my voice turned into a sob, and a few tears welled up in my eyes. Seeing this, Dennis immediately panicked. It wasn't that he felt sorry for me, he was just anxious about how to deceive me. Sure enough, what he said next was all explosive news. Those women were all introduced to me by Eloise. Some of them were fans with extremely good financial conditions, and some were connections who could help introduce resources. You're different from them. Over the years, you've already become like family to me. You're my sister. You're my only sister. Hearing these same words again in this new life, I still felt a bit overwhelmed, seeing that this little yellow duck had pretty much spilled the beans and that I had collected enough video footage. I began to move on to the next step, stripping him of his equipment. Sister believes in you, and sister will definitely stand by your side. Do you remember? I said that I would always accompany you on the road to success. I suppressed my nausea and recalled the nonsense I had said when I was young and ignorant, while still maintaining a sincere expression on my face. When misfortune reaches its limit, good fortune is at hand. When good fortune reaches its limit, misfortune follows. Think carefully, this might actually be an opportunity. Looking at Dennis's confused expression, I knew that this uneducated guy definitely didn't understand the first half of the sentence, so I tried to deceive him in a more straightforward way, leaving other things aside. This is the first time you've been on the trending list, right? Didn't Eloise say that to become popular, you have to use any means necessary? Being infamously popular is also a form of popularity, in my opinion. You should seize every opportunity and use all means possible to make yourself stand out while this heat is still on. Dennis's eyes immediately lit up. I knew that this fool must have been tempted. Under Eloise's daily influence, he was most susceptible to this kind of talk. If I were you, I would invest all the funds I have on hand, including real estate and everything else, and liquidate them all. Find the best public relations team and use the shortest time possible to whitewash your image and create momentum. Go all in and take a gamble. Since I wanted to strip him of his equipment, I naturally had to do it thoroughly. To ease Dennis's concerns, I took the opportunity to comfort him. What are you afraid of, anyway? I'll be with you. This is the key to my house. I'll be your backup. After this complete set of coquettish acts and empty promises, Dennis was neatly maneuvered. I want him to bet everything, and then watch all his efforts go down the drain, and finally have no choice but to go to the safe haven that I carefully prepared for him. I have endured that pain, and he must pay it back double. Not a single step can be missed. Sister, you're really too good to me, and I have nothing to repay you with, otherwise. Right now, as Dennis spoke, he started taking off his clothes. This was something I didn't expect. I wanted to strip him of his equipment. But not this kind of equipment. I have no interest in this little yellow duck, and I don't care about those few seconds either. So, I quickly stopped his indecent behavior and sent him away. There are all the fans and paparazzi outside. We're not in a hurry right now. You go and take care of your business first. Sister is waiting for your good news. After pushing him out the door, my world returned to peace. I let out a sigh of relief and started exporting the surveillance videos and finishing the editing. At the same time, the community security guard also sent me a message. Beauty, we've already put the things back in your house and arranged them neatly. Item picture, JPG. I replied briefly and then fell asleep. Tomorrow, there are still 2 tough battles to fight. 7. Because I had been too busy running around before. When I woke up again, it was already 2:30 p.m. I went home and first checked the supplies. I found that the things had filled the entire room. Then I went upstairs to check the progress of the project. I have to say that driven by self-interest, human potential is limitless. The foreman came over excitedly to take credit and showed me around while explaining, I don't think it will take until tomorrow. It can be completed tonight. Don't worry about the quality. I was watching them do it. After walking around, I could see that they had really put in a lot of effort. The rooftop part was all done, and the planting area and the breeding area were clearly divided. The platform had been set up, and all that was left was to fill it with things. I first went to the vegetable market and bought a lot of live fish, and then I went to pick some seedlings and seeds that were easy to grow. By the time everything was properly arranged, it was already approaching evening. I turned on my phone, and the first news that popped up was about Dennis. Shocking reversal. Depressed idol was framed. Then, there were all kinds of hashtags, comprehensively whitewashing Dennis, and there were many high-profile scenes among them. Look, this is the 3 Good Student Award certificate that Dennis received in the first grade of primary school. Certificate, JPG, my God, Big Brother is so excellent. Doesn't this prove that he is an upright and honest person? Such an excellent person is now being cyberbullied and has suffered depression. I want to ask those who framed him, can you have a clear conscience? Depression medical record, JPG. So heartbroken, the beautiful, strong, and miserable persona is amazing. I watched this performance expressionlessly. Rather than believing it was the work of brainless fans, I was more inclined to think that these were paid trolls. Dennis, an unpopular celebrity, didn't have many fans in the first place. Only paid trolls would still try to establish a persona at this time. Anyway, Dennis must have spent a lot of money and risked everything on this gamble. Looking at the rising popularity, I didn't need to guess to know that Dennis must be extremely happy now and would most likely celebrate all night with Eloise. I sincerely wish them joy at this moment. After all, the first step to falling from heaven to hell is to send him to heaven first. At 10:30 p.m., the project was finalized. After seeing the construction workers off, I quickly called Aubrey. First, I confirmed the progress of her security and stockpiling work. Then I told her the whole story and asked her to help send out the video that I had recorded and edited in the hotel around 12:30 p.m. The next day. This girl is involved in the fans circle and is quite familiar with people in the media, so it's most suitable to leave it to her. After ending the call, I started setting up hidden monitoring and listening devices in this house. I attached great importance to my entertainment life in the apocalypse, so I set them up very carefully. Then, in the middle of the night, I became a hard-working little bee and used a cart to transport all the supplies to the 11th and 12th floors. After going through all this, I was completely exhausted. I set an alarm for 12:30 p.m. and fell asleep. I want to be the first to get the scoop tomorrow. At 12:30 p.m. I groggily got up, turned on my phone, and started to seriously follow the gossip. Currently, the news of the agent Eloise strongly whitewashing her artist is still on the trending list. In the video, Eloise said angrily that she would pursue responsibility and sue those who slandered Dennis to the end. Before long, the news of Dennis kneeling and apologizing shot up to the top of the trending list. In the video, Dennis was crying bitterly, not only admitting everything but also incidentally revealing clearly and distinctly the fact that Eloise had been pimping for him. These 2 videos, one before and one after, formed a strong contrast and a sharp comparison. For a while, even the meme section of a certain website was in an uproar, and all kinds of creations kept emerging. I knew that Dennis's acting career was over, and Eloise's professional career was also over, but this wasn't the end. The more exciting part is always in the next second. My phone vibrated. As expected, it was a call from Dennis. Are you fucking crazy? He's really a roaring king. I have nothing now. You want to ruin me, you want to kill me. I give full marks to this prediction. Where are you? Are you at home? You just wait for me. Good. His tendency towards domestic violence has also been revealed. I'm telling you, it's over between me and Dennis, and you won't have a good time either. This time it was Eloise's voice. What a perfect example of a husband and wife echoing each other. I calmly hung up the phone and stood by the window on the 11th floor, waiting. Sure enough, it didn't take long for the figures of Dennis and Eloise to appear. They were aggressive and obviously hadn't been influenced by the socialist harmonious wind at all. They didn't pay any attention to spiritual civilization, and their swearing scared away several children. After watching them enter the building, I changed the viewing angle and went back to the computer desk to start watching the indoor surveillance. Dennis had the key that I gave him personally, so he naturally rushed into the house without any scruples. Unfortunately, he found nothing. After venting for a while, he and Eloise couldn't find anything. After Dennis called me several times and I refused to answer, he took Eloise and tried to leave. But I knew clearly that they couldn't leave anymore. No one knows where the zombies came from. But I remember that the first scream I heard came from the amusement park downstairs. Even though it was 3 floors high, I could still hear it clearly, because it was a heart-wrenching fear and pain, just like what I had experienced before. 9. Dennis, did you hear any sound? Eloise grabbed Dennis, who was about to go out, and walked towards the window. I deliberately didn't close the window when I left, so they should be able to hear more clearly. The speed at which the zombie virus spread far exceeded that in the movies and TV shows I had watched before. In less than 10 minutes, downstairs had turned into a living hell, bloodthirsty and crazy zombies, panicked and fleeing crowds, and continuous transformations. Thinking about it again, I couldn't help but tremble. I curled up my body and sat in front of the computer desk, watching as Dennis and Eloise changed from wanting to go out to firmly locking the door. Obviously, they had also realized now, going out meant only death. Eloise, what should we do? What should we do now? Downstairs, is that, a zombie? Dennis stuttered these 2 simple sentences. As expected, he was still such a coward, always seeking help by clinging to a woman whenever something happened. Eloise was calmer than him. She closed the window and gave instructions. Go and check how much food is left in her house. With our combat power, we definitely can't get out. We can only wait for rescue. As long as we have enough food, we can get through this. Don't be afraid, there will be a way. Although Eloise said words of comfort, her voice couldn't stop trembling. A moment later, Dennis stumbled out of the kitchen, and every word he shouted revealed despair. Eloise, that woman, she emptied all the food in the house. She only left these, and they're expired. I nodded in satisfaction. Dennis had grown up and could even check the expiration date now. Good. At least he can count. After hearing Dennis's report, Eloise, who was sitting on the sofa, was silent for a moment and then suddenly spoke. Give me your phone, I want to call her. I always feel that she must know something. Half a minute later, my phone on the desk rang. This time, I chose to answer it. 10. You did it on purpose. All of this is a trap you designed. Eloise came straight to the point and made a conclusion. Did you get the news in advance? Do you know that this virus would break out? Have you already reached a safe house, or are you in a base shelter? The later speculations were a bit outrageous, but I didn't interrupt her and let Eloise keep talking nonsense. I have no obligation to explain things to them, nor do I have such kindness, but what I didn't expect was that they took my silence as acquiescence. Then, the 2 of them started an unexpected performance. There might have been some misunderstandings between us in the past. There were no misunderstandings. You deceived me, and I was deceived. It's as simple and clear as that. I believe you're a person with a conscience and won't stand by and watch someone die. You've misjudged me. I will. Back and forth, Eloise and Dennis completely lost their temper. Want to play the moral kidnapping game? It's ridiculous. In front of such people, I have no morals at all. After teasing them enough, I simply came straight to the point. What I can tell you is that this zombie outbreak will last for a long time, and that little bit of expired food you have in your hands is definitely not enough to eat. With your abilities, you won't be able to go far either. If you want to live longer, it's better to start with each other. After saying that, I hung up the phone. That dark seed originally came from their hearts. Now, I just catalyzed it a bit. 11. For the next 3 days, I refused to answer all the calls. Happily ate a small hot pot, and watched the reality show. As they came to understand the cruel truth of the apocalypse more and more clearly, the words I said eventually took root in their hearts. At first, perhaps due to years of habit, Dennis still had some respect for Eloise and called her Eloise all the time. He also tried to exchange the repayment of the little yellow duck for food. However, Eloise didn't buy it at all and directly retorted, "Save those few seconds of yours and conserve some energy. There are still many tough days ahead." In the past, Eloise always painted beautiful blueprints for Dennis. Now that she suddenly told the truth, Dennis immediately became angry. "I'm an artist, I should definitely be given priority. Eloise, don't you forget that you're still counting on me to make money." Eloise is good at making empty promises but will never believe them herself. She is more realistic than anyone else and retorted even more bluntly, An artist who is bad at both singing and dancing, usually useless, and even more useless in this situation, counting on you to make money. The money you've earned over the years was all obtained by deceiving women. Now that there are no other women around, don't you have the delusion of setting your sights on me?" It was obvious that they were going to completely break off their relationship. With Eloise's shrewdness, she couldn't possibly not understand the current situation. The speed at which the zombie virus spreads is simply beyond imagination, and there can't be a good solution in a short period of time. Moreover, Dennis's selfishness has already started to show, and Eloise has no reason and no possibility to tolerate him. On the first day, perhaps because they weren't too hungry, the two of them tacitly didn't touch those expired foods. However, on the second night, the clever Dennis couldn't hold back anymore. While Eloise was asleep, he actually tried to steal some food and hide it. Since the zombie outbreak, I hadn't been sleeping soundly. Now that there was an extended version of the reality show at night, I naturally couldn't miss it. What's more interesting is that I wasn't the only one who wasn't asleep. Once the trust between the two of them was broken, disputes and calculations began. While Dennis was still sneaking around as a mover, Eloise was already standing at the kitchen door with a kitchen knife in her hand. The cold light of the kitchen knife was particularly terrifying under the moonlight. The moment Dennis saw Eloise, his legs went weak. "Eloise, what are you doing?" Listening to Dennis's trembling voice, I nodded in satisfaction. That kitchen knife was something I had specially prepared. In addition, I had also prepared some other little toys. Eloise held the kitchen knife and sneered. "What do I want to do? Is it what I want to do, or what you want to do? Don't worry, these foods are all expired and won't last for more than a few days. But what about an adult? Even if the person is a bit thin and weak, the body of an adult should be enough to last for about a week, right?" As the familiar word sounded again, I tightly gripped the sheet in my hand and nervously watched Eloise and Dennis facing off in the picture. 12. Peanuts. Melon seeds. Tea. I was in a hurry to prepare the essentials for watching the show, waiting for a killing to happen. Unexpectedly, just as Eloise was approaching Dennis with the knife, there was a rustling sound coming from the front door. I switched the viewing angle and found that two security guards were actually sneaking over. This was a move I had deliberately left in the first place. They didn't disappoint me, but the timing of their appearance, well, come to think of it, Eloise probably wouldn't really kill Dennis at this moment. It wasn't that far yet. Most likely, what she wanted to do just now was to scare Dennis and give him a warning. In the quiet night, all sounds seemed to be deliberately amplified. Eloise and Dennis obviously heard the sound from the front door as well. "Sister, there's someone outside. There's someone outside." "No, it might also be a zombie." "Sister, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Let's deal with the things outside first, okay? Don't leave me behind." Dennis's character of relying on women whenever something happens probably won't change in his entire life. At this moment, his pleading was truly sincere. Eloise obviously didn't expect such an accident either. She gave Dennis a fierce glare and then carefully moved towards the door. "What are you afraid of? There's a lock. They can't get in." 3 seconds later, as if in response to her words, the lock opened. Given the current situation, it wasn't surprising that these two security guards could get the key. Moreover, I had given them the key once before when I asked them to help move the goods. "Jorge, is this the place?" "Yes, Hugo and I helped move the things together. That woman stockpiled a lot of food, and it's right here." "Then let's hurry up and get the supplies." "Are you stupid? At this time, she must be asleep. Let's kill her and just stay here, right? The lights aren't even on. We can do it without anyone knowing." 3 seconds later, as if in response to his words, the lights came on. What does it mean when embarrassment takes embarrassment to the next level? This is it. When the two groups of people looked at each other, I finally couldn't hold back and laughed out loud. An apocalyptic comedy. This is something. 13. It was the middle of the night now. The security guard named Jorge still had blood on him. In comparison, his momentum was stronger, but Eloise here wasn't to be outdone either. She gripped the kitchen knife in her hand tightly. In this environment, if it wasn't necessary, no one wanted to get hurt, and no one dared to get hurt. There were no medicines, no medical care, and they couldn't even get out of the community gate. No matter which side got cut, it would be a tough situation. So, one side stood at the front door, and the other side stood in front of the kitchen. Each side held a weapon and a standoff ensued. "Jorge, let us in, and we'll split the supplies equally." "Eloise, there are no supplies, just a pile of expired food." "Jorge, I moved the things in here myself. How dare you play tricks on me?" "Eloise, I can let you in to check. We were also deceived by that woman, but you have to promise not to hurt me." she said, not to hurt me, not to hurt us. Eloise could always make the most favorable judgment for herself in the shortest time, without too much entanglement or pointless struggle. After saying that, Eloise stepped aside to indicate that the other party could check for themselves. At the same time, her eyes were fixed on the two men, as if she was ready to fight them desperately if they dared to break their promise. There were no desperate gamblers here, at least, those who could stand here all wanted to survive. Jorge took his subordinate and checked the kitchen. Then he rummaged through the surroundings thoroughly before confirming that Eloise wasn't lying. Damn it. Jorge kicked the table beside him in a fit of impotent rage and cursed continuously. I could fully understand his anger at this moment, the despair of all his efforts coming to nothing. Jorge, should we go back? The subordinate beside him asked in a trembling voice, looking as if he was about to cry. Go back? Have you forgotten how Hugo died? Do you still dare to go down that road again? It was obvious that the two of them intended to stay here. I nodded, although this was a last resort. It was indeed the least risky solution at the moment. However, looking at Eloise with a gloomy expression and Dennis who was lowering his head and seemed to be thinking about something, I always felt that there was still a lot to watch in this unscripted reality show. 14. It's quite funny to say that with 4 people, 2 camps, and a 2-bedroom, 1 living room house, dividing the rooms shouldn't have been difficult, but in the end, they each became their own masters. And no one was willing to share a room with the other. Eloise and Jorge, the two with knives, each took a bedroom. The security guard's subordinate lived in the living room, and Dennis slept in the kitchen. All the expired supplies were inventoried and placed on the balcony. The use of food every day had to be approved by the two with knives. It was quite democratic. Compared to their difficult days, my life was much more comfortable. During this period of time, besides watching the show, I also started to cultivate seedlings and learned 2 recipes: protein, vitamins, minerals. I couldn't lack any of the things my body needed, especially recently. I also started to learn Pilates, yoga, and do aerobics. Accidentally, I developed a 6-pack, with good physical health and a happy mood. I occasionally wrote some notes to cultivate my sentiment. By the way, I was looking forward to the development of the reality show's plot later. Their supplies were limited, and the harm of the expired food was very obvious on Dennis. His constitution was originally not good, and after eating those things, he had to run to the toilet frequently. Moreover, without medicine, he looked sick all day long. Eloise had completely ignored him. And the 2 security guards looked down on this useless guy even more, only finding him dirty and smelly. As for why they still kept him, I guessed that most likely, they regarded him as a kind of supply reserve. Before reaching that point, we all wanted to retain a bit of humanity. When it really came to that point, everyone would make their own choice between humanity and survival. I originally thought that Dennis's ending would be the same as mine, but after thinking about it carefully, although it was said to be the same, there were still some differences after all. The turning point of the matter occurred on the 8th day. 15. In my previous life, I didn't live long enough, so I didn't know that the country brought hope. Supplies distribution. The night before the supplies distribution, there was a special broadcast. China will not give up. The country will not give up on anyone. Hope is still here. We are still here. These simple 3 sentences made countless people burst into tears. Then, it was the information about the supplies distribution points, the distribution time, and the items to be distributed the next day. It was concise and straightforward. I watched as Eloise and Jorge put down the knives that were raised towards Dennis on the surveillance screen, and my heart was unusually calm. He would have his own ending, if not now, then in the future. In fact, it was just as I thought. This future didn't even have to be far away. It was tomorrow. The supplies couldn't be delivered to the front door of every household. Generally, a more suitable point would be selected within a certain area for distribution. For the supplies distribution in our community, the nearest one was on the street about 500 meters away from the community. 500 meters, in the past, was nothing at all. But now, it was very likely the distance between life and death. You two go to the supplies point to get the supplies, and Eloise and I will lie in wait in the community. We'll have a 2-pronged approach so that we can get more supplies. Jorge quickly divided the tasks. These simple 2 sentences fully revealed his cunning, leaving aside the hardships of the journey to the supplies point. Just the scramble for the supplies was likely to be a fierce battle. He and Eloise lying in wait in the community had a lower risk factor, and they could also reap the benefits without doing much. the other security guard's subordinate wasn't stupid either. He immediately sensed something was wrong, but before he could say anything, Eloise stuffed a dagger into his hand. You go with Dennis. If you encounter any danger, just push him out. The knife is for you, and we'll tie him up. What are you worried about? When you bring back the supplies this time, you'll get the larger share. Dennis was like a human shield. The dagger was a self-defense weapon, and the supplies were their ward. Eloise and that Jorge really had a good cooperation. Before long, they set off together, watching the four people disappear one after another from the screen. I felt a bit bored and simply picked up the zombie survival manual beside me. I bought it randomly before, and now that I looked at it, it was quite interesting. Some of the things in it were true, and some were false. The spread of the zombies was real. And the fact that they could eat people was also real, but things like flying through the air, disappearing and reappearing, and running at high speed seemed a bit fantastical. Just as I was in a drowsy state, half asleep and half awake, there was a sound coming from the surveillance screen again. They were back. 16. Eloise and Jorge were the first to come back. These two bastards obviously had robbed the supplies that others had finally obtained. They were carrying a lot of bags, big and small. And there was still blood on them. Aren't we going to wait for them? What if they need our support? Should we go down again? Obviously, Jorge still had a bit of affection for his subordinate. Wait, it's been more than 2 hours for a distance of 500 meters. Do you think they can still come back? This batch of supplies is enough. If you want to take the risk, go by yourself. Okay, then we won't take the risk. Jorge did have a bit of affection for his subordinate, but only a bit. Not much, however. To everyone's surprise, more than 10 minutes later, the front door was actually knocked on. Standing outside the door was Dennis. Dennis had a huge machete in his right hand, with some pieces of meat hanging on it, and in his left hand were 2 big bags filled with food. I have food and medicine, let me in, and I can survive. I didn't know what Dennis had experienced during this period of time, but at this moment, he seemed to have changed into a different person. Like a demon, Eloise and Jorge were obviously taken aback by his appearance, but the temptation of the supplies was just too great. I don't know how long this hellish life will last. Who do you plan to send to get the supplies next time? Let me in, I'll help you get the supplies. You take good care of me, let me sleep in a room, and give me priority for food and medicine. At this time, what they were afraid of wasn't that Dennis was setting conditions, but that he wouldn't set conditions. Sure enough, as soon as Dennis said this, Eloise's eyes lit up, and she even nodded at Jorge, indicating that he should agree. As the door was opened, I let out a deep sigh. Being too clever backfired on Eloise. She was indeed going to ruin herself. In this world, there was no such thing as suddenly awakened power. Mostly, it was the hatred and revenge sustained by the last breath. The moment Dennis entered the door, I saw the bite mark on the back of his neck. 17, according to past experience. It took less than 10 minutes from being infected with the virus to completely turning into a zombie, so every moment next was going to be extremely intense, and I stared at the surveillance screen without daring to look away for a single moment. After entering the door, Dennis used his body to block the view and locked the door behind him. He swaggered into the room carrying the 2 bags of food. Before entering the room, he gave Eloise a meaningful look. Eloise understood immediately and followed Dennis into the room without saying much, leaving Jorge alone outside. Stunned, under the apocalypse, the so-called alliance was extremely fragile. After entering the room, Dennis directly threw the 2 bags of food in front of Eloise as if they were garbage. Well, now Dennis didn't need these things anymore. And no matter how much food there was, it would be a waste to him. Eloise's reaction was completely different. She had already had enough of the days when she had to carefully calculate even the expired food these days. Now, when faced with these foods, her eyes were shining. Dennis, I was wrong before. I didn't expect you to let go of the past. As Eloise spoke, she swallowed hard. Although she was speaking to Dennis, her eyes never left the food. That was the instinct of human beings. The instinct of hunger. Did you really mean it when you said you would make me famous before? Did you really mean it when you said that as long as I did those things, I could become a widely acclaimed big star? Dennis's voice had already changed a bit, but he was still trying his best to control it. Of course, how could I lie to you? Since the first time I saw you, I thought you had potential. You look good. You're good at both singing and dancing, and your acting skills are also good. Didn't I say that all you need is time? Eloise really knows how to talk differently to different people. She can effortlessly spout a stream of beautiful but empty words that cost nothing and carry no responsibility. Dennis remained silent. His eyes had turned a scarlet red, and the bloodshot lines in his eyes seemed as if they were about to burst apart. His whole body began to twitch uncontrollably. But there's no time left. As the last words were slurred and fell, Dennis suddenly pounced on Eloise. He bit and tore at her fiercely, taking chunks of flesh along with blood. Eloise didn't even have time to cry for help before Dennis brutally gnawed through her neck. That wasn't the kind of strength a human should possess. Even through the surveillance screen, the cruel and terrifying process of his devouring made me gasp in horror. 18. When I had calmed down and dragged my weak body out of the bathroom, Dennis was already half sitting on the bed. He deliberately exposed a large part of his chest and looked at me suggestively. In his understanding, Uran guessed that Dennis most likely gave all the food to Eloise. His greed for supplies was no less than anyone else's, so naturally, he couldn't accept such a situation. After knocking on the door several times, Jorge simply kicked the door and burst in. Then, there was silence. There was still blood and flesh at the corner of Dennis's mouth, and he had a soul-stirring stare with Jorge. Eloise at his feet no longer looked human. The sounds of screams and curses came from the room again. The knife in Jorge's hand slashed at Dennis repeatedly, and finally, it struck his head on the last attempt. However, even though Dennis fell, it was already too late. The bite marks on Jorge's body destined his end. The person who had originally come to this room intending to kill and rob the goods ultimately didn't manage to leave this room. I silently turned off the surveillance, feeling an unparalleled sense of calm inside. 19 months later, the broadcast about Rebirth came. The surviving people walked out of their houses to welcome the rising sun after this great disaster. As soon as the communication was restored, I called my best friend Aubrey at the first opportunity. Unfortunately, the situation on her side was still not optimistic. This time, the zombie virus spread globally. Our country was the first to win this war. Besides protecting the surviving people of our country also generously shared the experience and methods of resisting the zombie virus. When conditions permitted, our country also sent support to some other countries. Another month and a half later, a reagent specifically targeted at the zombie virus was developed. This was a victory for all mankind, and no one didn't cheer and rejoice for it. When I talked to Aubrey again, we both cried. It was a kind of joy of having survived the disaster and a gratitude for being able to have each other.